Welcome, traveller of the waking world. You have journeyed far today, through the noise and the light, through the demands of time and the weight of expectation. But here, in this quiet sanctuary we have built together, those things cannot reach you. Imagine for a moment that you are stepping into a room made entirely of twilight. The walls are not solid, but composed of a soft, velvety darkness that absorbs every worry, every sharp edge of the day. It is a space of infinite comfort, where the air is cool and still, smelling faintly of rain on dry earth and the sweet ancient scent of old paper. As you settle down, perhaps feeling the weight of your body sinking into a mattress that feels like a cloud, or a chair that embraces you like a shadow, allow your eyes to close, not with force, but with the gentle inevitability of a flower closing at dusk. Feel the muscles in your forehead smooth out, like a sheet of calm water undisturbed by wind. Let your jaw loosen, let your shoulders drop away from your ears, and feel a heavy, warm wave of relaxation roll down your spine, unknitting every knot, softening every tension. You're safe here. You're protected. There is nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to solve. There is only the sound of my voice and the slow, steady rhythm of your own breathing, in and out, like the tide. We are about to embark on a voyage not through space but through understanding. We will drift through the minds of creatures who share this planet with us, exploring the quiet brilliance of their inner worlds. We will float through their dreams, their memories, and their silent wisdom. To understand them is to understand a part of ourselves that we have forgotten. So let go of the tether that holds you to the shore of alertness. Let the current take you. Let your mind become as vast and deep as the night sky, ready to receive the gentle starlight of these truths. Drift with me now, deeper and deeper into the soothing mystery of the animal mind. Imagine yourself now floating weightlessly in a warm turquoise expanse. The water holds you perfectly, supporting every limb, making you feel lighter than air. You're drifting alongside a creature of immense grace, a dolphin, gliding through the silver-blue currents. As you watch this sleek form move through the water, consider the miracle of its rest. For the dolphin, sleep is not a total shutdown as it is for us, but a delicate, conscious dance. Because they must actively decide to breathe, they cannot succumb to total unconsciousness, or they would drown. Instead, they have evolved a profound ability known as unihemispheric slow-wave sleep. Picture the dolphin's brain as a glowing city. When it's time to rest, half of the city's lights dim, turning off to repair and rejuvenate, entering a deep, dreamless slumber. The other half remains awake, vigilant, keeping the dolphin breathing and watching for danger, with one eye physically open. They sleep with one eye on the waking world and one eye on the dream world, suspended in a state of half-dreaming. Imagine what it must feel like to be half awake and half asleep, to drift through the ocean while part of your mind wanders in the restorative darkness of sleep. It is a perfect balance, a harmony of awareness and rest. As you float there in your imagination, you might feel a kinship with this state, your body resting deeply, heavy and relaxed, while a small part of your mind remains here with me, listening, drifting, perfectly safe in the duality of rest. The water around you begins to darken, turning from turquoise to a deep, rich indigo as we descend slowly, peacefully, towards the ocean floor. Here, nestled among the rocks and swaying kelp, lives the octopus, a creature of alien intelligence and fluidity. Visualize it tucked away in a safe crevice, its arms curled around itself like a soft living blanket. As it sleeps, something magical happens on the surface of its skin. We often think of dreams as internal movies, hidden behind our eyes. But for the octopus, dreaming is a public display of pure imagination. Scientists have observed that when an octopus enters active sleep, a state similar to our own REM cycle, its skin begins to flash and shift in mesmerizing patterns. Ripples of amber, pulses of dark ochre, and flashes of white wash over its body in seconds. It is believed that they are dreaming of the hunt or of hiding in the coral. Picture the octopus dreaming of a crab. Suddenly its skin texture spikes and turns the colour of a rock. Then it dreams of swimming through open water and it turns smooth and pale. It wears its dreams on its skin. Imagine if your dreams painted the air around you in soft, glowing colours. As you lie there, imagine your own relaxation as a colour. Perhaps a deep, soothing purple or a soft, mossy green, washing over you, changing and shifting as you sink deeper into comfort, just like the dreaming octopus changing its colours in the silent, crushing depths of the sea. Slowly the water recedes, draining away to reveal a vast golden savannah at twilight. The air is warm and smells of dry grass and acacia. You're walking beside giants. A herd of elephants moves in slow motion, their massive grey forms silhouetted against a purple horizon. You can hear the low, rhythmic thrumming of their rumbling, a sound so deep it is felt in the chest more than heard by the ears. This sound travels through the ground, a secret language vibrating through the soles of their feet. We drift now into the memory of the elephant, a cavernous archive of geography and emotion that rivals our own. An elephant's brain is dense with neurons, particularly in the hippocampus, the seat of emotion and memory. They do not just remember where the waterholes are from 20 years ago, they remember individuals, they remember kindness, and they remember loss. Imagine an elephant returning to a pile of sun-bleached bones, the remains of a matriarch lost years ago. With infinite gentleness, she extends her trunk, hovering over the bones, touching them with a quiet reverence. This is not instinct. This is recognition. It is a silent mourning, a deep, contemplative understanding of life and death. As you walk with them in your mind's eye, feel the weight of that wisdom. It is a heavy, grounding sensation. It reminds us that connection transcends time. Allow yourself to feel that groundedness, like the heavy, steady footfall of an elephant, anchoring you to the earth, making you feel solid, unshakable, and deeply, deeply calm. The scene shifts from the vast plains to the intimate, buzzing warmth of a sunlit garden. The light here is golden and thick, like honey. You shrink down, smaller and smaller, until you are floating at the entrance of a hive, surrounded by the gentle hum of thousands of bees. It is a sound of pure industry and cooperation, a vibration of life. Here, we encounter the hive mind, a collective intelligence that functions as a single, brilliant organism. But focus your inner eye on a single scout bee, who has just returned from a field of lavender. She has found the best nectar, and she needs to tell her sisters exactly where it is. She performs the waggle dance, a miraculous feat of geometry and communication. In the dark of the hive, she dances a figure-8 pattern. The angle of her dance relative to the vertical comb tells the other bees the precise angle they must fly relative to the sun. The length of her waggle tells them the distance. She is translating the geography of the outside world into a dance in the dark. It is a language of movement and vibration. Imagine the trust within the hive, the way they interpret these signals with perfect accuracy. It is a world where communication is dance, and understanding is immediate. Let your own mind mimic this clarity. Imagine your thoughts organizing themselves into a neat geometric pattern, a honeycomb of golden light, where everything has a place, and everything is sweet and orderly. There is no chaos here, only the warm humming order of the hive. Leaving the golden hive, we drift upward into the cool, misty branches of an ancient pine forest. The air is crisp and smells of pine needles and damp wood. Perched on a high branch, looking down with sharp, obsidian eyes, is a crow. These birds are the scholars of the sky, possessing an intelligence that is startlingly human-like. As you float near the treetop, observe the crow solving a puzzle. It sees a treat inside a tube out of reach. Without hesitation, it finds a piece of wire, bends it into a hook using a nook in the bark, and fishes the treat out. This is tool-making, a sign of high cognition once thought to be unique to humans. But their minds hold deeper secrets. Crows recognize human faces. If you are kind to them, they remember you. They can hold a grudge or a fondness for years, passing this knowledge down to their offspring. They have been known to leave gifts, shiny buttons, pieces of coloured glass, smooth pebbles, for the humans who feed them. Imagine this exchange, a wild, intelligent mind reaching out across the species barrier to offer a token of gratitude. Visualize a small, shiny object in your hand, a gift from the wild. Feel the coolness of a smooth stone or the glint of a piece of sea glass. It is a connection to the natural world that feels ancient and profound. Let this image of a gift bring a smile to your resting face, a small spark of joy in the grey mist of your relaxation. The mist clears, and we find ourselves high above the open ocean again, but this time we sink beneath the waves to the realm of the giants. In the deep, resonant blue, the humpback whales are singing. These are not random noises. They are complex, evolving songs that can last for 20 minutes and be heard for thousands of miles. The ocean is a vast concert hall for them. As you drift in the deep, muffled silence of the underwater world, listen to the haunting, melodic moans and clicks. What is truly mesmerizing is that these songs are cultural. Whales in different oceans sing different songs, like regional dialects. But sometimes, a new tune will travel. A whale from the west might meet a whale from the east, and slowly, the song changes. The new melody ripples across the ocean populations like a hit record transmitted from mind to mind across the vast watery globe. They are sharing art. They are sharing culture in the pitch-black depths. Imagine the sound vibrations passing through your body, a deep cello-like resonance that massages your muscles from the inside out. You are part of this global song, a slow, rhythmic pulse that connects all living things in the deep. Let the song wash through you, carrying away any lingering stress on its sound waves, leaving only peace. From the deep ocean, we are instantly transported to a cozy, firelit room. Outside, snow falls softly against the window pane, but inside, it is warm and safe. Curled up on a velvet cushion is a cat, its eyes closed in bliss. You reach out a hand in your mind and stroke its soft fur. Beneath your fingers, you feel a steady, rhythmic vibration, the purr. This sound is one of the most comforting noises in nature, but it is also a biological marvel. The frequency of a cat's purr, between 25 and 150 Hz, is the exact frequency that has been shown to improve bone density and promote healing in tissues. The cat is not just expressing happiness, it is performing a self-healing sonic therapy. It is vibrating its own body to stay strong and healthy while it rests. When a cat purrs on your chest, it is sharing this healing frequency with you. Imagine that vibration now, a low, warm hum in the center of your chest. It radiates outward, warming your heart, your lungs, your stomach. It is a sound that says, all is well. It is the sound of safety. Let that phantom purr resonate through your entire being, healing, soothing, and lulling you into a state of absolute contentment. The scene shifts gently. You're now walking through a meadow in early autumn. The air is cool, but the sun is warm. Running ahead of you is a dog, nose to the ground, tail wagging with excitement. We often say dogs live in the moment, but their sense of smell allows them to be time travelers. To a dog, the world is a landscape of aromas that tell the story of the past, present, and future. When a dog sniffs a tree, it isn't just smelling bark. It is smelling who walked by an hour ago, the past, who is there now, the present, and catching a breeze bringing the scent of rain that will arrive in 20 minutes, the future. Their world is painted in scents we cannot even imagine. They can smell fear, they can smell illness, and they can smell the passage of time itself. The strength of a scent fades over time, so by smelling how weak an odour is, a dog knows how long ago it was left. They are reading the clock of the world through their noses. Imagine if you could see time as a landscape of swirling colours and scents. A bright yellow trail leading back to yesterday, a soft blue mist blowing in from tomorrow. It is a rich, textured reality. Let yourself see the world through this lens, not as a linear ticking clock, but as a swirling, beautiful tapestry of sensory information where time is soft and fluid and there is no rush, only discovery. You lift your gaze from the meadow to the sky, where a flock of birds is migrating south. They are flying thousands of miles over oceans and deserts without a map or a GPS. They are guided by an invisible force, magnetoreception. Inside the eyes and beaks of birds like robins and homing pigeons, there are tiny structures containing magnetite or special proteins that react to the Earth's magnetic field. They can literally see the magnetic lines of the Earth. Imagine looking at the sky and seeing glowing ribbons of light stretching from north to south, guiding your way. They never feel lost because the planet itself is their compass. They trust the invisible forces to guide them. As you drift in your bed, imagine that you too have an internal compass. It is pointing you towards sleep. You do not need to force it, you only need to trust it. You're aligned with the magnetic pull of rest. Just as the bird trusts the wind and the magnetic field, trust your body's need to sleep. You're on the right path. You're heading home to the land of dreams, guided by an ancient invisible wisdom that knows exactly where to go. Finally, we slow everything down. The wind stops, the movement ceases. We're in the lush green canopy of a tropical rainforest. Hanging upside down from a branch, moving so slowly it is imperceptible, is a sloth. In a world that prizes speed and efficiency, the sloth is the master of the slow life. But their slowness is not laziness, it is a brilliant survival strategy. By moving slowly, they become invisible to predators like eagles and jaguars who rely on movement to spot prey. Their fur is actually an ecosystem in itself, growing green algae that camouflages them perfectly with the leaves. They have become one with the tree. The sloth's mind is tuned to a different frequency of time. They do not rush to eat, to move, or to sleep. They simply are. Imagine adopting the pace of the sloth. Feel your own world slowing down. The spinning of your thoughts slows to a gentle crawl. Your heart rate slows to a steady, calm beat. Your breathing elongates, becoming slow and deep. There is no hurry. There is no deadline. There is only the branch, the leaf, and the peace of existing in the present moment. You're safe in the canopy, hidden, held, and free from the need to be anywhere else. You are perfectly, beautifully slow. From the stillness of the sloth in the high canopy, where time stretches like taffy, we follow a single, shimmering thread of silk downwards, drifting gently toward the forest floor. Here, suspended between two ancient ferns, hangs a masterpiece of engineering, a web glistening with the morning dew. In the centre sits a jumping spider, a creature small enough to sit on your fingernail, yet possessing a mind of startling complexity. As night falls and the spider retreats to its silken retreat, a cosy sleeping bag spun from its own body, something remarkable happens. Scientists have peered into the resting minds of these tiny hunters and found that they too experience a form of rapid eye movement sleep. Because the jumping spider's exoskeleton is translucent in its youth, we can actually see its retinal tubes moving back and forth rapidly while it rests. Its legs curl and twitch, just as a dog's paws might while chasing a dream rabbit. Imagine, for a moment, the dreams of a spider. Perhaps it is dreaming of the perfect leap, calculating the trajectory with mathematical precision, soaring through the air to land gracefully on a leaf. Or perhaps it is dreaming of the vibrations of the web, that delicate tactile music that tells it everything about the world. To a spider, the web is an extension of its mind, a sensory organ that stretches out into the universe. When it sleeps, the web is still there, a safety net of knowledge. Visualize yourself resting in such a hammock, suspended in soft silver light. You're held perfectly by thousands of strong silky strands. You do not need to hold on. The web holds you. You're sensitive to the slightest breeze, the gentlest warmth, vibrating softly with the rhythm of the forest, completely connected to the world around you, even as you drift into the deep, twitching lands of the dream time. Leaving the delicate weaver, the air grows colder, crisp and clean, smelling of heavy snow and deep earth. We travel north to the heart of a silent white mountain. Deep beneath the snowpack, insulated by layers of soil and root, lies the den of a black bear. We often speak of hibernation as sleep, but it is something far more profound. It is a state of suspended animation, a metabolic miracle where the bear steps outside the flow of time. For months, the bear does not eat, drink, or move. Its heart rate drops from a steady rhythm to a rare, slow thud. Pause. Thud. It recycles its own body mass, turning waste back into protein, a feat of biological alchemy that keeps its muscles strong even in stillness. Imagine the ultimate permission to rest. In our world, we often feel guilty for resting, but for the bear, rest is survival. It is the most productive thing it can do. The winter is a time to go inward, to conserve, to protect the spark of life by shielding it with stillness. Picture yourself in that den. It is not dark and scary. It is warm, smelling of dry fur and earth. The wind howls outside, biting and cold, but it cannot reach you here. You're wrapped in a coat of warmth, your breathing slowing down to match the turning of the seasons. You're safe to shut down, to turn off the lights of the house, and simply exist in the warm dark, waiting for the spring that will inevitably come. There is no rush. The snow must melt in its own time. The scene shifts from the solitary den to the bustling subterranean metropolis beneath our feet. We shrink down once more, entering the complex, winding tunnels of an ant colony. Specifically, we visit the leafcutter ants, the farmers of the insect world. In these humidity-controlled chambers, the ants are not just gathering food, they're tending to vast, fluffy white gardens of fungus. They feed the fungus with leaves, and in return the fungus feeds them. But the wonder here is not just their farming, but their teaching. Ants are among the few animals known to engage in tandem running, a form of interactive teaching. An experienced ant will lead a novice to a food source, but she does not just leave her there. She slows down. She waits. If the student falls behind, the teacher stops and waits for a tap on her back legs, a signal that says, "I am here, continue." They move at the speed of the learner. It is a gesture of patience and guidance. Imagine this connection, a tiny, invisible thread of communication between two minds. Feel the comfort of being guided by someone who knows the way. You do not need to know the destination, you only need to follow the guide. In your own life, you have learned so much, travelled so far. Now, you can let go of the need to lead. Let the universe be the teacher. Let the current of sleep be the guide. Feel the gentle tap of reassurance that says, "You're doing fine. We're going the right way. Just follow." From the earth, we dissolve into water, finding ourselves in the shallow, sun-dappled waters of a coral reef. The light here dances in refracted ribbons of gold and aquamarine. Drifting near the sandy bottom is a cuttlefish, a master of disguise and a creature of visual thought. Its skin is a living canvas containing millions of pigment cells called chromatophores. With a thought, it can change from the texture of rough sand to the smoothness of a pebble, or flash hypnotic strobing bands of black and white to mesmerize its prey. But this display is not just for hunting. It is a window into their mind. When a cuttlefish is deciding what to do, its skin sometimes flashes conflicting patterns, a physical manifestation of indecision. One side of its body might show a courting pattern, while the other shows a fighting pattern. It is thinking with its skin. Imagine if your thoughts were visible, beautiful ripples of colour washing over you. If you felt calm, you would turn a soft oceanic blue. If you felt love, you would glow with a warm rosy pink. As you lie in the dark, imagine your skin relaxing, shedding the patterns of the day, the grey of stress, the red of urgency. Visualize those colours draining away, replaced by a slow, rhythmic, pulse of deep, soothing indigo. You're blending in with the night. You're becoming one with the darkness, camouflaged in comfort, hidden from the demands of the world by a cloak of peaceful shadow. The water recedes, revealing the dry, cracked earth of the Kalahari Desert. The sun is high and fierce, baking the red sand. But we are looking at a scene of profound cooperation. A mob of meerkats is foraging for scorpions and grubs. While the family eats, one individual stands guard on a high mound, standing tall on its hind legs, scanning the horizon. This is the sentry. This meerkat fights the urge to sleep, the urge to eat, solely to keep the others safe. If it spots a hawk, it lets out a specific call, not just a scream, but a word that means danger from the sky. If it sees a snake, it uses a different call, danger from the ground. The others trust this voice implicitly. They can eat and rest because they know someone is watching over them. But even more touching is how they teach their young. An adult will catch a scorpion, remove the dangerous stinger, and give it to a pup to practice on. It is a safe environment to learn dangerous things. Feel that sense of protection now. Imagine that while you sleep, there are sentries watching over you. The locks on your doors, the roof over your head, the very stars in the sky, they are standing guard. You do not need to be the sentry tonight. You can come down from the mound. You can bury yourself in the soft, cool sand of your sheets. The watch is set. You're free to rest. The horizon stretches out, blurring into the tall grasses of the African savanna as the sun begins to set. The sky turns a bruised purple and orange. Towering above the acacia trees are the giraffes. For centuries, humans thought giraffes were silent creatures, lacking vocal cords. We thought they stood in mute vigil over the plains, but we were wrong. As the darkness gathers and the visual world fades, the giraffes begin to hum. It is a low-frequency sound hovering around 92 Hz, just at the edge of human hearing. It is a deep, resonant vibration that they produce only at night. Researchers believe this humming is how they keep in touch with the herd in the dark, a sonic tether connecting mother to calf, friend to friend. It is a lullaby of presence. I am here. We are together. Imagine standing in that vast darkness, feeling that hum in your chest more than hearing it with your ears. It is a grounding vibration. It vibrates through your bones, a constant, steady reminder of connection. Let your own breathing mimic this hum, a long, slow exhalation that vibrates in your throat. It settles the nerves. It tells your body that you are part of a herd, part of a family, part of a world that holds you even when you cannot see it. You're never truly alone in the dark. You're surrounded by the hum of life. We move from the open plains to the rolling prairies of North America. Here, amidst the sea of grass, lies a town, a sprawling network of burrows belonging to prairie dogs. These are not just mindless rodents barking at the wind. They possess one of the most sophisticated languages in the animal kingdom. When a prairie dog chirps, it is not just making noise, it is constructing a sentence. Analysis of their calls reveals that they can describe a predator in startling detail. They don't just say human approaching. Their call translates to, here comes the tall human in the blue shirt walking fast. They have distinct words for coyote, hawk, dog, and even gun. They can create new words for objects they have never seen before. It is a world of chatter, of gossip, of constant information sharing. But notice how, as the sun sets, the town goes quiet. They retreat into their burrows, deep underground where the temperature is constant and the noise of the surface is baffled by feet of earth. They curl up in family heaps, a tangle of warm fur and slow heartbeats. Imagine the relief of silence after a day of talking. Imagine the joy of retreating into your own burrow, shutting out the noise of the world's language. You do not need to describe anything anymore. You do not need to find the right words. You can just be. Silence is the most profound language of all, and tonight you are fluent in it. From the quiet burrow, we slip into the laboratory of the mind, where we meet a creature often misunderstood, the rat. Far from being unfeeling pests, Rats are creatures of deep empathy and surprising joy. If you were to listen to rats playing with a special microphone that picks up ultrasonic sound, you would hear something delightful, giggling. When rats play fight or when they are tickled by researchers they trust, they emit high-pitched chirps, laughter. They seek out this joy, returning again and again to the hand that tickles them. But their emotional depth goes deeper. In experiments, a rat will liberate a trapped companion from a cage, even if it means sharing a pile of chocolate chips. They feel the distress of others and act to relieve it. They also experience regret. If a rat makes a wrong choice in a maze and misses a treat, it will pause, look back at the path it didn't take, and its brain will replay the correct path, learning from the what if. They are thinkers, feelers, and dreamers. Imagine the lightness of that giggling, the pure, unadulterated joy of play. Allow yourself to feel a spark of that simple happiness, and imagine the comfort of their empathy, the knowledge that living things are wired to help one another. Even in the dark mazes of life, there is kindness. There is a hand reaching out to open the cage. You can relax now, knowing that empathy is a universal law as real as gravity. We leave the lab and return to the wild, rocking coast of the Pacific Ocean. The water is cold, grey and powerful, but floating in the kelp beds are the sea otters, the teddy bears of the ocean. They are wrapped in the densest fur in the animal kingdom, trapping a layer of warm air against their skin so they never truly get wet. They float on their backs, cracking clams against rocks they keep in a special pouch of skin under their arm, a pocket for their favourite tool. But look closer at how they sleep. To keep from drifting apart in the currents, sea otters hold hands. They float in rafts, sometimes dozens of them, tethered together by their grip on each other's paws. Sometimes they wrap themselves in long strands of giant kelp, anchoring themselves to the seafloor like a boat at a mooring. They surrender to the motion of the ocean, trusting the kelp and their companions to keep them from being lost at sea. Imagine the sensation of floating on your back, the water rocking you gently, rhythmically. You are buoyant, weightless. You reach out and feel the warm, furry grip of a loved one, or simply the comforting grip of the universe, holding your hand. You are anchored. You cannot drift away. You can close your eyes and let the waves take you, up and down, held fast by love and nature. Finally, we drift from the waves to the dry red interior of Australia, where the zebra finch perches on a scrubby branch. These small birds are the musicians of the desert. Their songs are complex, learned from their fathers, and perfected over a lifetime. But the true mastery happens in the dark. When a zebra finch sleeps, its brain is not idle. Researchers have monitored the firing of their neurons and found something beautiful. The bird is rehearsing. The exact same pattern of neurons that fires when the bird sings during the day fires again while it sleeps. They are singing in their dreams, but in the dream the tempo varies. Sometimes they sing a burst of the song, sometimes they slow it down, perfecting the difficult notes. They are consolidating their art, weaving the lessons of the day into the fabric of their minds. It is the neuroscience of practice. Imagine your own mind doing this work now. As you lie there, you don't need to strive or study. Your brain is quietly sorting through the day, filing away the good memories, discarding the noise, practicing the skills you need for tomorrow. It is a passive productivity. You're learning while you rest. You're growing while you dream. Just like the finch singing its silent song in the night, your mind is creating harmony out of the chaos of the day, preparing you to sing a more beautiful song when the sun rises. From the dreaming song of the finch in the red desert scrub, we catch a warm thermal updraft, rising higher and higher until the earth below becomes a patchwork quilt of browns and greens. We ascend into the realm of the great frigate bird, the marathon wanderer of the skies. Imagine for a moment that you are a creature of the air, your wingspan stretching vast and wide, catching the trade winds over the Indian Ocean. These birds can stay aloft for months at a time, never touching land, never resting on water. They are the true nomads of the blue, existing in a world of pure atmosphere. But how, you might wonder, do they rest in a world without a flaw? The answer lies in the art of the micronap. As they glide through the cumulus clouds, high above the churning waves, they snatch seconds of sleep. Researchers have found that while soaring, the frigate bird sleeps in bursts of just 12 seconds, totaling only about 40 minutes a day. Sometimes, they sleep with one half of their brain, keeping one eye open to navigate the air currents. Other times, when the updraft is safe and steady, they let both hemispheres drift into deep sleep, floating completely unconscious on the wind for moments at a time. Picture that sensation. Absolute trust in the air that holds you. You are weightless, suspended between the ocean and the stars, carried by an invisible hand. You do not need to flap, you do not need to struggle. The wind knows where you're going. Allow yourself to feel that buoyancy now. Your bed is the updraft. It holds you effortlessly. You can close both eyes, release all control, and simply glide through the night, safe in the slipstream of sleep. We slowly descend from the dizzying heights, dropping down through the layers of the atmosphere, passing through the clouds, down to the floor of a boreal forest in deepest winter. The air here is sharp and silent. The ground is covered in a thick blanket of snow, and beneath that, a layer of fallen leaves crusted with frost. Here, we find the wood frog, a small creature that performs a miracle of resurrection every single year. As the temperature drops well below freezing, the wood frog does not dig deep like the toad, or hide in the mud like the turtle. It nestles into the leaf litter and simply stops. It stops moving, it stops breathing. Its heart beats slower and slower until it stops completely. For all intents and purposes, the frog is solid ice. It is a frozen statue, but it is not dead. Before the freeze takes hold, the frog's liver pumps massive amounts of glucose sugar into its bloodstream. This sugary syrup acts as a natural antifreeze, protecting the cells from bursting even as the water between them turns to ice. It is a state of suspended animation, a sweet, crystalline slumber. Imagine being that still. Imagine a rest so deep that your very heartbeat is unnecessary, where time has no hold on you. You're preserved in a capsule of cold, waiting for the warmth of the sun to thaw you from the inside out. It is the ultimate patience. The winter will pass, the spring will come, but for now, there is only the peaceful, sugary silence of the freeze. You are solid, unmovable, and perfectly at peace. The ice begins to melt, the forest floor softens, and the scene transforms into a lush green pasture under a gentle spring sun. The smell of sweet clover and damp earth fills the air. Here, grazing slowly and rhythmically, is a herd of cows. We often look at them as simple creatures, but inside the herd there is a web of complex emotional bonds. Cows are not solitary, they are deeply social, and they have best friends. Scientists have observed that when a cow is with her preferred partner, her best friend, her heart rate slows down significantly. Her cortisol levels, the hormones of stress, drop. They stand close together, often leaning their heavy, warm bodies against one another, grooming each other with rough tongues. If they are separated, they become agitated and anxious, their intelligence clouded by loneliness. But when reunited, they settle instantly back into a state of ruminating calm. Visualize that connection. Imagine the presence of a dear friend or a loved one, or simply the comforting presence of the universe itself, leaning against you. A warm, heavy, grounding weight. It is a feeling that says, you do not have to face the field alone. Feel your own heart rate mimicking the slow, steady beat of the grazing herd. Chew over your thoughts slowly, or better yet, let them go entirely. There is safety in numbers. There is safety in connection. You are part of the great herd of the living things, and you are never truly alone. From the grassy hill, we wander down to the edge of a clear, still pond. We slip beneath the surface, entering a world of muted light and silence. Here, drifting among the water lilies, is a goldfish. We have been told that these creatures have a memory of only 3 seconds, a myth that insults their quiet brilliance. In reality, the mind of a goldfish is a vault of time and space. Goldfish can remember events for months, even years. They can be trained to push levers for food, to distinguish between different colours and shapes, and even to recognise different music. They have an internal clock, knowing exactly when feeding time is, anticipating the arrival of their caretaker. They build a mental map of their world, knowing every stone, every plant, every shadow. Imagine the clarity of that water-bound mind. It is not a blank slate, constantly erasing itself. It is a focused, attentive consciousness. As you float in this mental pond, let go of the frantic pace of the human world, where we are constantly bombarded by new information. Sink into the slow, deliberate focus of the fish. Notice the way the light filters through the water. Notice the silence. You have the capacity to remember the good, to hold on to the moments of peace, and to let the rest drift away like silt settling on the bottom of the pond. We rise from the water and take flight again, this time to the concrete cliffs and canyons of a bustling city. Perched on a ledge, overlooking the tapestry of the streets, is a pigeon. We often ignore them, calling them rats with wings. But the pigeon is a connoisseur of the visual world, an art critic with feathers. Research has shown that pigeons can be trained to distinguish between the paintings of Monet and Picasso. They can learn the difference between Impressionism and Cubism, recognizing the stylistic strokes and color palettes, even in paintings they have never seen before. Their visual processing is so acute that they have even been trained to detect cancer in medical images, spotting anomalies in biopsies with the same accuracy as a trained radiologist. They see the world with a precision we can barely comprehend. They see the texture of the stone, the iridescent flash of purple and green on a mate's neck, the crumb on the pavement. Imagine having eyes that see the beauty and the detail in everything. As you close your own eyes, turn that high-definition vision inward. Visualize a landscape of pure art within your mind, swirls of calming blue, strokes of soft lavender, a masterpiece of relaxation painted by your own imagination. You are the artist and the observer, finding beauty in the quiet corners of your own soul. Leaving the city, we travel to a park filled with mighty oak trees, their leaves turning the russet and gold of autumn. Scrambling down a trunk is a squirrel, a nut clutched in its jaws. We watch as it buries the nut in the soft earth, pats the dirt down and scampers away. We assume it is just random hoarding, but we are witnessing a feat of spatial chunking. The squirrel does not just bury nuts, it organizes them. It creates a mental library of food. It might bury walnuts in one sector, acorns in another, and seeds in a third, organizing the world by type and size to make them easier to remember. A single squirrel can bury thousands of nuts in a season and recover nearly all of them months later, even under a layer of snow. They hold a map of the forest in their minds, a constellation of hidden treasures. Imagine your own mind as this forest. Instead of worries, imagine you're burying small treasures, memories of happiness, moments of gratitude, hopes for the future. You're tucking them away safely in the rich soil of your subconscious. You don't need to carry them all right now. You can put them down. You can bury the burden. It will be there if you need it, but for tonight, your paws are empty, your work is done, and the forest is ready to hold your treasures for you. We leave the forest and find ourselves in a rustic barnyard where the air smells of hay and grain. A goat approaches the fence, its rectangular pupils widening as it looks at you. We often think of goats as stubborn or mischievous, but they are masters of interspecies communication. They are one of the few animals that, when faced with an impossible problem, like a box they cannot open, will stop trying and make eye contact with a human. They look at the box, then look at the human, then back at the box. It is a gaze of solicitation. They are asking for help. They understand that you are an agent of change, a being that can solve what they cannot. It is a profound moment of trust and intelligence, bridging the gap between two completely different minds. Imagine that gaze now. Not a gaze of demand, but a gaze of connection. It is okay to ask for help. It is okay to admit that a burden is too heavy or a puzzle is too complex. As you lie in bed, cast that gaze upward to the universe, to the night, to whatever force you believe in. Hand over your impossible boxes. Hand over the problems you couldn't open today. Let the great caretaker of the night handle them. You have done your best. Now look away from the problem and close your eyes. Help is here in the form of sleep. The scene shifts dramatically. We're no longer on the farm. We're in the cold, black waters of the North Atlantic. A pod of orcas, killer whales, cuts through the waves. These are the wolves of the sea, apex predators, but their minds hold a secret that shames our own emotional capacity. Magnetic resonance. Imaging of the orca brain has revealed something clear and startling. The part of the brain associated with emotional processing, the paralimbic system, is far more developed and complex in orcas than it is in humans. They have an entire extra lobe of tissue dedicated to emotion and social connection that we simply do not have. It is possible that they feel emotions we do not even have names for. A depth of grief, a nuance of joy, a complexity of bonding that is deeper than the ocean they swim in. They stay with their mothers for their entire lives. They share food. They speak in dialects. Imagine swimming in an ocean of pure feeling, not chaotic emotion, but a deep, resonant, ancient understanding. Imagine being so connected to those around you that you're almost a single organism. Let that depth wash over you. If you are feeling heavy-hearted, know that the capacity to feel is a gift of high intelligence. But for now, let those deep waters be calm. Let the surface be glassy. You are floating in a sea of love that is bigger than you, deeper than you, supporting you in the dark. From the heavy, salt-laden water, we emerge into a sunlit meadow filled with wildflowers. A caterpillar crawls slowly along a milkweed stem. It is preparing for the great transformation. It spins a chrysalis, sealing itself away from the world. Inside, a process of total dissolution begins. The caterpillar releases enzymes that digest its own body, turning it into a rich genetic soup. It literally melts down. But here is the wonder. The butterfly that emerges remembers being a caterpillar. Scientists have trained caterpillars to avoid certain smells, and after they dissolve into goo and reform into a winged creature, the butterfly still avoids that smell. The memory survived the melting. The self persisted through the total destruction of the body. It is a testament to the resilience of consciousness. No matter how much you change, no matter how much you feel like you're falling apart or dissolving in the stress of life, the core of you remains. The memory of who you are is written in something stronger than your shape. As you drift towards sleep, imagine yourself in that chrysalis. It is a safe, contained space. You're allowed to dissolve. You're allowed to let go of the form you held today. You can melt into the sheets, let your edges blur. You will wake up tomorrow transformed, lighter, winged, but you will still be you. The essential spark is indestructible. Finally, we drift to the rolling hills of the Scottish Highlands. The mist is clinging to the heather. A flock of sheep moves like a single white cloud across the green. We often use sheep as a term for mindless followers, but looking into the face of a sheep is like looking into a yearbook of friends. Sheep have an extraordinary ability to recognize faces. They can remember the faces of 50 other sheep for over 2 years. More surprisingly, they can recognize human faces from photographs, and they can tell when a human expression changes. They prefer a smiling face to a frowning one, and they will approach a photo of a calm face to investigate. They know who is missing from the flock. They grieve when a friend is taken away. They form deep, lasting attachments. Imagine the comfort of that recognition. Imagine walking into a room or a field where everyone knows you, where you're recognized and welcomed simply for your presence. You are known. You're remembered. As you close your eyes, visualize a circle of friendly, soft faces, perhaps the sheep, perhaps the people you love, surrounding you with a warmth that wards off the chill of the mist. You are part of the flock. You are safe in the fold. The grass is soft, the wool is warm, and you are exactly where you belong. From the comforting woolen embrace of the flock, we feel the ground beneath us turn to soft, warm sand. We're walking toward the sound of the ocean at night, under a canopy of stars so bright they look like spilled sugar. Emerging from the surf, dragging her heavy, ancient shell with a determination as old as the moon, is a sea turtle. She has returned. This is the exact beach where she hatched 30 years ago. She has travelled thousands of miles, crossing entire oceans, navigating the featureless blue void, yet she found this specific strip of sand with pinpoint accuracy. This is the miracle of geomagnetic imprinting. When she was a hatchling, barely the size of your palm, she scurried across this sand, and the unique magnetic signature of this specific beach was stamped onto her brain. An invisible coordinate burned into her soul. Through all her years in the open ocean, the Earth's magnetic field has been her map, singing to her, pulling her gently, relentlessly back to her beginning. Imagine having an internal compass that always knows where home is. You can never truly be lost. No matter how far you drift in your dreams, no matter how wide the ocean of your thoughts, there is a magnetic thread tethering you to safety, to your center, to your true self. Feel that pull now, not a tug, but a gentle inclination, a gravity of the heart that settles you into your bed. You're exactly where you are meant to be. You have navigated the day, you have crossed the open water, and now you have come ashore. You are home. We leave the sandy shore and the sound of the crashing waves, rising on a gust of salt air to the rocky cliffs above. There, 2 ravens are perched on a jagged outcrop, their feathers gleaming with an iridescent sheen of blue and purple in the moonlight. We know they're clever, but watch closely. One raven spots a piece of moss that would be perfect for a nest, but it is too heavy to move alone. It turns to its partner and with a deliberate tilt of its head and a specific thrust of its beak, it points. This is not a random movement. This is a gesture. Before this observation, we thought only humans and great apes use gestures to direct the attention of another. But the raven is saying, "Look there, I need that." It is a silent conversation, a sharing of intention. The other raven follows the line of the beak, understands the desire, and together they move the moss. It is a moment of shared mind, of 2 beings looking at the world and seeing the same possibility. Imagine the relief of not having to use words to explain your needs. Imagine a connection so deep that a simple look, a gentle nod, is enough to be understood. In the quiet of this night, you do not need to explain yourself to anyone. The universe sees you. It follows your gaze. It understands your need for rest without you having to speak a single syllable. You're in a partnership with the night, and it is listening. From the windy cliffs we dive down, piercing the surface of the tropical sea, entering the bustling, colourful city of the coral reef. Among the neon shoals of fish and the waving fans of coral, we find the cleaner rasa, a small striped fish with a very big job. It runs a cleaning station, removing parasites from larger fish. But today, it swims past a shiny piece of reflective foil left by a diver. It stops. It looks. It turns upside down. It opens its mouth. It is checking itself out. This little fish is passing the mirror test, the gold standard of self-awareness. It sees the reflection and knows, that is me. It might spot a smudge on its own chin in the mirror and then rub its face against a rock to clean it off. It understands that it is an individual, separate from the water, separate from the school. It has a concept of I. As you float weightlessly in your imagination, consider the profound peace of simply being I. You're not your job, you're not your relationships, you're not your worries. You're the observer behind the eyes. You're the awareness that watches the reflection. Strip away the labels of the day, wash them off like salt in the water, and rest in the simple, buoyant knowledge of your own existence. You are here. You are real, and that is enough. The water bubbles and fades, and we find ourselves in a sun-drenched clover patch, the air filled with the drowsy, hypnotic buzzing of bumblebees. We watch a furry yellow and black bee land not on a flower, but near a small wooden ball. There is no nectar here, no pollen, no reward. Yet the bee climbs onto the ball and rolls it. She falls off, climbs back on, and rolls it again. She is playing. Scientists have watched bees roll balls for hours, seemingly for the sheer joy of it. Young bees do it more than old bees. Stressed bees, when given the chance to roll the balls, become calm. It is play for the sake of play, a behaviour we used to think was reserved for puppies and children. Inside that tiny buzzing mind, there is room for fun. There is a desire to engage with the world, not just for survival, but for pleasure. Imagine the feeling of rolling a ball, the texture of the wood, the sensation of movement, the simple circular satisfaction of it. Let your mind play now. Let your thoughts be round and smooth, rolling gently across the floor of your consciousness. There is no goal. There is no quota to fill. You're allowed to enjoy the moment, to find a small, silly joy in the softness of your pillow, in the warmth of the blanket. You're allowed to just be. Leaving the buzzing garden, we travel to the dense emerald canopies of the South American rainforest. Here, the light filters through the leaves in shafts of cathedral green. Perched on a branch are two capuchin monkeys. They are participating in a study, but to them, it is life. One is given a slice of cucumber. He eats it happily. The other is given a sweet, juicy grape. The first monkey sees this. He looks at his cucumber, looks at the grape, and then throws the cucumber back. He is outraged. He understands fairness. This is not just jealousy. It is a deep-seated sense of justice, of equity. They know what they deserve. They have a moral compass. But let us flip this image. Imagine the peace of a world where things are fair, where the balance is kept. As you lie in bed, imagine that you are balancing the scales of your own life. You have worked hard. You have given of your energy, your time, your heart. Now the universe is handing you the grape. The sweetness of sleep is your reward. It is fair that you rest. It is right that you stop. You have earned this peace. Accept it without guilt, knowing that the scales are tipping in your favour, pouring a heavy, sweet slumber into your side of the balance. The jungle fades into the velvet purple of twilight. We are in the hollow of an ancient hollowed-out tree, hanging upside down in the warm, musky dark. We are with the vampire bats. The name sounds frightening, but these creatures practice a friendship that is rare and beautiful. They live on the edge of survival, and if a bat fails to find food for 2 nights, it cannot survive. But they do not starve because they have friends. When a successful bat returns to the roost, full and warm, it will share its meal with a roost mate who had no luck that night. This is not done at random. They remember who helped them in the past. They form buddy systems, distinct pairs of friends who look out for one another. They groom each other, wrapping their leathery wings around their friends in a literal embrace of support. It is a safety net made of social bonds. Imagine that feeling of absolute security. You do not have to succeed every single day to be worthy of survival. You can have a bad day, a hollow day, and your community, the seen and the unseen, will sustain you. Feel the warmth of that shared life. You are supported. You are held in a web of reciprocity and care. You can let go of the fear of scarcity, for tonight the roost is full and you are among friends. We slip from the hollow tree into the deepest, darkest ocean trenches, miles beneath the surface where the pressure is immense and the water is ink black. Here, the sperm whales dive. These are the leviathans, the carriers of the largest brains to ever exist on Earth. In the crushing dark, they do not see each other. They hear each other. They communicate with rhythmic patterns of clicks called codas. But listen closely. These clicks are not generic. Each whale has a specific pattern of clicks that it uses to introduce itself. Click, click, pause, click, click. It is a name. They are saying, I am here, it is me. And different clans of whales have different dialects. different accents. A whale from the Pacific sounds different from a whale from the Atlantic. They have culture. Grandmothers teach these dialects to the calves, passing down the heritage of their people through the deep. Imagine the sound of your own name being clicked through the water, vibrating through the ocean for miles, reaching the ones you love instantly. It is a declaration of presence in the void. You're not lost in the dark. You're announcing yourself to the universe, and it is clicking back. Feel the vibration of that connection in your chest, a deep, resonant thrum that anchors you in the deep water, steady and slow and sure. Rising from the depths, we break the surface and find ourselves in a moonlit paddock. The grass is silver with dew. A horse stands there, its coat gleaming, its breath misting in the cool air. You approach the fence, and the horse lowers its head, bringing its large, soft nostrils close to your chest. It is not just smelling you, it is reading your heart. Research suggests that horses can synchronize their heartbeats with humans. They are incredibly sensitive to our electromagnetic fields. When a human is calm, the horse becomes calm. When a human is anxious, the horse knows it instantly. But they also have the power to calm us. Their hearts are 5 times larger than ours, producing a powerful rhythmic field of energy. Being near a calm horse can physically slow your own heart rate, bringing it into coherence with theirs. Imagine standing chest to chest with this gentle giant. Feel the slow, powerful thump-thump of the horse's heart. It is a drumbeat of pure peace. Let your own heart adjust its rhythm, slower, stronger, steadier. You're borrowing the calm of the creature, letting its strength become your stabilizer. The anxiety of the day cannot survive in the presence of such a powerful, peaceful heart. From the quiet paddock we move to a suburban garden, where the trees are silhouetted against the night sky. A magpie sits in the branches. We often think of them as thieves of shiny objects, but they are also thieves of our hearts, capable of profound grief. When a magpie dies, its companions do not just fly away. They gather. They form a circle around the fallen friend. They walk gently around the body. Some bring offerings, a piece of grass, a pine needle, and lay them softly by the deceased. It is a funeral. It is a ritual of acknowledgement, a way of saying, "You mattered. You were part of us." It shows a mind that understands the finality of death and the value of life. It is a somber yet beautiful image. It tells us that nothing is forgotten. Every life is witnessed. As you lie here in the quiet dark, know that your experiences, your joys, your little griefs, they're all witnessed. You matter to the fabric of the world. You are part of the great circle. Let this knowledge comfort you, wrapping you in a blanket of belonging that transcends even the end of things. You're seen, you are known, and you are held in the memory of the world. Finally, we drift deep into the humid, fragrant heart of the African forest, where the chimpanzees are preparing for the night. We might think of animals sleeping on the rough ground, but the chimpanzee is an architect of comfort. Every single evening, they build a new bed. They do not just pile up leaves, they select specific branches from specific trees, ironwood for stability, softer leafy branches for the mattress. They weave them together with the skill of a basket maker, creating a springy, secure platform high in the safety of the trees. They even make pillows, bundling softer leaves to place under their heads. They spend hours ensuring their rest will be perfect. They value sleep. They treat it as an occasion, a nightly ritual of self-care. Imagine yourself now as a master architect of your own rest. You have built this sanctuary. You have arranged the pillows just so. You have pulled the blankets to the perfect height. You have created a nest that is safe, suspended above the worries of the forest floor. You have done the work of preparing. Now, the only thing left to do is to lie down in the masterpiece you have built. Feel the support of the mattress, the craftsmanship of comfort. You are safe in your high nest, cradled by the leaves, ready to drift into the canopy of dreams. From the high, leafy cradles of the chimpanzees, we descend slowly, leaves turning into bubbles, air turning into water, until we touch down on the sandy seabed off the coast of Japan. The water here is crystal clear, illuminated by shafts of sunlight that dance across the ripples in the sand. Here, a small, unassuming creature, the male white-spotted pufferfish, is at work. He's not just a fish, he's an artist of the highest order. For 24 hours a day, for over a week, he swims on his side using his fluttering fin to sculpt the sand. He's creating a masterpiece, a perfectly symmetrical circular mandala, over 6 feet in diameter, etched into the ocean floor. It consists of valleys and ridges, radiating outward from the centre like the rays of a sun or the petals of a chrysanthemum. He decorates the peaks of these ridges with fragments of shells and coral, placing them with the precision of a jeweller. This crop circle of the sea is designed to attract a mate, but consider the mind required to create it. He cannot see the whole pattern from above. He is too small, swimming in the trenches of his own creation. Yet, he holds a mental blueprint of perfection in his mind. He understands geometry, symmetry, and aesthetics. He works tirelessly, smoothing out the sand, removing debris, ensuring every line is true. Imagine the meditative state of this creation, a singular focus, a devotion to beauty in the face of the vast erasing currents. As you lie there, imagine your breath as that fin smoothing out the sand of your mind. With every exhalation, you're sweeping away the debris of the day, creating a perfect symmetrical circle of calm within you. Ridges of peace, valleys of silence. You are the architect of your own inner geometry, creating a sanctuary of order in the fluid world of sleep. The sand of the ocean floor dries and warms, shifting into the endless rolling dunes of the Namib Desert under a sky thick with stars. The Milky Way stretches across the heavens like a river of crushed diamonds. Scuttling across the cooling sand is a dung beetle, rolling a ball of sustenance. It seems a lowly task, yet this humble beetle possesses a cosmic secret. It is the only known animal on Earth that navigates using the Milky Way galaxy itself. When the beetle climbs atop its ball and performs a little dance, turning in circles, it is not confused. It is taking a reading. It is looking up at the band of starlight that cuts across the sky and aligning itself with the galaxy. It locks its path onto the stars. If you block the stars, it gets lost. If you show it the night sky, it finds its way. It is a tiny speck of life guided by the largest structure in the universe. Connect with that feeling of cosmic guidance. You do not need to know the map of the road ahead. You only need to look up. You're oriented by the same stars, the same spinning galaxy. There is a grand celestial alignment that keeps you on course, even when the world is dark. Feel a thread of starlight attaching to your chest, pulling you gently, inevitably, toward the destination of deep rest. You're navigating by the light of the universe, and you cannot lose your way. From the dry desert night, we travel to the humid, murmuring darkness of the Great Smoky Mountains. The air is heavy with the scent of damp moss and mountain laurel. As the twilight deepens into true black, the forest begins to blink. We are witnessing a phenomenon known as synchronous fireflies. Unlike other species that flash randomly, these fireflies have a hive mind for rhythm. One flashes, then another, then 100, and suddenly, thousands of tiny biological lanterns flash in perfect unison. On, off, on, off. It is a silent symphony of light. They are entraining their internal clocks to one another, finding a communal rhythm in the dark. It creates a wave of light that moves through the trees, a heartbeat of the forest made visible. Imagine your own body syncing with this rhythm. Your heartbeat slows to match the slow, deliberate pulse of the fireflies. Your breathing aligns with the swelling light. There is no chaos here, only perfect, synchronized order. You are part of this pulse. You are blinking in time with the living world. Let the rhythm mesmerize you, hypnotic and steady. Flash and rest. Flash and rest. You are dissolved into the collective light, held by the timing of nature. The humid air cools rapidly, and the trees dissolve into the stark, breathtaking white of the Arctic ice shelf. The ocean is a slush of freezing grey, but bobbing in the water is a massive wrinkled shape, the walrus. These giants spend days at sea, and they have developed a way to sleep that is both ingenious and secure. A walrus will find a large ice floe, but instead of hauling its massive bulk entirely out of the water, it will simply drift alongside it. It drives its long, ivory tusks into the ice like a mountaineer's pickaxe, hooking them securely over the ledge. There it hangs, its body suspended weightlessly in the water, its head propped up by its teeth, anchored to the solid ice. It is a sleeping hook. It allows them to rest without drifting away in the currents and without expending the energy to stay afloat. Imagine that sensation of being hooked into safety. You're floating in the soft darkness of sleep, but you are tethered. You have an anchor. You can relax every muscle, let your body go limp because you are held fast by the structure of your life, by the bed beneath you, by the walls around you. You will not drift into danger. You're hooked into the ice of security. You can bob gently in the tides of your dreams, perfectly safe, perfectly held. We slip from the icy water into the vibrant, sun-drenched atmosphere of a tropical garden, where the air vibrates with the hum of wings. A hummingbird hovers before a hibiscus flower, a blur of iridescent green and ruby throat. During the day, its heart beats over 2,200 times a minute, a frantic engine of life. But as night falls, the hummingbird cannot sustain this pace. It would burn out. So, it performs a nightly act of surrender called torpor. It lands on a small branch, fluffs its feathers, and intentionally slows its body down. Its heart rate drops from a 1-200 beats to as few as 50. Its body temperature plummets, matching the cool night air. It enters a state of suspended animation, hovering on the edge of life and death to conserve its precious energy. It trusts that the sun will warm it again in the morning. It lets go of the need to be on. It powers down the engine completely. Imagine this profound deceleration. Visualize the dial of your own energy turning down click by click. The spinning of your mind slows. The racing of your pulse steadies. You are entering your own torpor, a necessary healing shutdown. You do not need to be fast now. You do not need to hover. You can land. You can become still. You can let the cold and the dark hold you until the morning sun returns to reignite your fire. From the tiny still bird we plunge back into the water, but this time into the brackish calm of a mangrove swamp. The water is still as glass. Looking up from below is the archerfish. This fish is a master of physics. It hunts insects perched on leaves above the water by spitting a precise jet of water to knock them down. But this is not just spitting. It is a complex calculation. The fish must account for the refraction of light, the way water bends the image of the insect. The insect is not actually where it appears to be. The archerfish's brain instinctively calculates the angle of refraction, compensates for gravity, and adjusts for the curvature of the water drop, all in a split second. It hits the target with absolute precision. It is a mind of clarity and focus. Imagine having that level of clarity, the ability to see through the distortions of the world, to see things exactly as they are. As you close your eyes, imagine you're looking through that still water. The distortions of anxiety, the bending of truth by fear, they all vanish. You see the truth, that you're safe, that you're tired, and that you're ready to sleep. Your aim is true. You're targeting a deep, restful slumber, and like the archerfish, you will not miss. The mangrove roots fade into the deep, open blue of the Pelagic Ocean. Gliding through the darkness like a stealth bomber is the manta ray. With a wingspan of over 20 feet, it is a giant, but it is also a genius. Manta rays have the largest brain-to-body ratio of any fish, and in that brain lives a sense of self. In rare experiments, when presented with a mirror in the tank, Giant manta rays do not attack the reflection as a rival. They stop, they hover, they blow bubbles and watch the bubbles in the reflection. They turn their white bellies toward the glass, inspecting parts of themselves they can never usually see. They recognize the reflection as me. They are self-aware in the deep. Imagine the silence of that realization. The giant, slow-moving consciousness drifting through the dark, aware of its own existence. It is a lonely but peaceful intelligence. Connect with your own sense of self now. Not the self that has a name and a job, but the deep, silent observer inside. The one that watches your dreams. The one that is watching these words. That deep, oceanic self is vast and calm. It floats through the experiences of life with grace, untouched, just like the ray gliding through the currents. We rise from the depths to a warm, sunlit windowsill in a quiet house. A cat is sitting there, looking at you with half-closed eyes. It blinks slowly, deliberately. This is not a sign of sleepiness, but a sign of profound trust. In the animal kingdom, closing your eyes in the presence of another is the ultimate vulnerability. It says, "I know you will not hurt me." This is the cat kiss. The cat is communicating with its eyelids. It holds the blink, creating a moment of darkness, a pause in the visual world to bridge the gap between your minds. It is a gesture of love. Try it now, even in the dark. Slowly close your eyes, holding the intention of trust. Trust the room, trust the bed, trust the night. Open them slightly, then close them again, slower this time. You're sending a signal to your own nervous system. I am safe here. There are no predators. There is only the sun-warmed ledge of the moment. You can close your eyes and keep them closed, wrapping yourself in the warm, furry feeling of safety and affection. From the domestic comfort, we travel to the dazzling salt flats of the Camargue in France. The water is pink with brine shrimp, and standing in it is a vast flock of flamingos. They're a cloud of living coral. But look at how they sleep, standing on one leg, with the other tucked impossibly high into their feathers. We used to think this required muscular effort, a balancing act. But we have learned that the flamingo's leg has a special locking mechanism in the joint. When they stand on one leg and relax, gravity actually locks the joint into place. It requires less energy to stand on one leg than on two. The more they relax, the more stable they become. They do not need to hold themselves up. Gravity does the work. Imagine that feeling, that letting go actually makes you more stable. You do not need to hold yourself up. You do not need to tense your muscles to keep your life in balance. You can engage your own locking mechanism, the mechanism of surrender. Let gravity take the weight of your legs, your hips, your spine. Lock into the position of rest. You're perfectly balanced, perfectly supported, and the more you let go, the more secure you are. Finally, we plunge into the frigid, ink-black depths of the swordfish's hunting grounds, hundreds of meters below the surface. The water here is near freezing, a temperature that makes most brains sluggish and slow. But the swordfish is a high-speed predator. It has a secret weapon, not its sword, but a special heating organ located right behind its eyes. This organ pumps warm blood to the eyes and the brain, keeping them significantly warmer than the surrounding water. While its body is cold, its vision is heated. This allows the swordfish to process images 10 times faster than its prey. It sees life in slow motion because its brain is warm. It carries its own fire in the deep cold. Imagine that warmth now, centered behind your own eyes. A gentle, radiating heat that softens the tension in your forehead. It is a cozy internal hearth. Even if the world outside is cold or chaotic, you have a warm, glowing center. Focus on that warmth spreading from your eyes to your temples, down your cheeks, relaxing the jaw. You're insulated. You're warm. You have an internal light that keeps your vision clear and your mind safe, glowing softly in the peaceful dark of the ocean. From the deep, cold dark where the swordfish ignites its internal fire, we rise slowly through the thermal layers of the ocean, moving toward warmer, shallower waters. We find ourselves in the crystal-clear springs of a coastal river, where the sunlight hits the sandy bottom in dappled nets of gold. Here, floating like a suspended boulder, is the manatee. We often call them sea cows, noting their slow, grazing pace, but their bodies hold a sensory secret that connects them intimately to their world. Most mammals have whiskers only on their faces, used to navigate tight spaces, but the manatee is covered in them. Its entire body is dotted with sensitive tactile hairs called vibrissae. Every inch of its skin is a listening device. It does not just feel the water, it reads it. It can detect the slightest change in current, the faintest pressure wave of a passing fish, the texture of the water itself. Imagine having a body that is so sensitive, so attuned, that the very element you float in feels like a constant, gentle embrace. The water is not separate from them. It is a tactile extension of their being. As you lie in your bed, imagine your skin awakening to this level of sensitivity. Feel the air in the room not as empty space, but as a soft, fluid substance resting against you. Feel the sheets not just as fabric, but as a texture that communicates safety. You're held by the atmosphere. You're wrapped in the sensory blanket of the night, feeling the stillness of the room pressing gently, lovingly against your skin, just as the warm river holds the manatee. We drift with the current out of the river mouth and into the vibrant, teeming metropolis of the coral reef. Among the swaying tentacles of a purple anemone, we find the clownfish. We know of their partnership. The fish lives in the anemone, but consider the biology of that embrace. The anemone is a creature of sting and poison, dangerous to nearly all other life. But the clownfish is not born immune. It must earn its safety. When it first finds its host, it gently touches the tentacles over and over, building up a protective mucus coat on its skin that mimics the anemone's own chemistry. It becomes chemically invisible to the stings. It wraps itself in a cloak of immunity so it can nestle deep into the deadly arms, finding them to be the softest, safest bed in the ocean. At night, the anemone closes up, wrapping the fish inside a living sleeping bag. Imagine that feeling of earned safety. Imagine that you have built up a resistance to the stinging stress of the world. It cannot touch you now. You're coated in a layer of calm, a shield of peace. You can curl up in the very center of the chaos, protected, hidden, and held tight by a force that keeps the rest of the world at bay. You're safe in the center of the flower. We rise from the reef, breaking the surface of the water to hover in the humid, buzzing air above a pond. Darting with metallic brilliance is a dragonfly. These ancient creatures have been flying since the time of the dinosaurs, and their minds possess a processing speed we can barely comprehend. When a dragonfly hunts, it does not chase its prey. It intercepts it. Its brain calculates the speed and trajectory of a mosquito, predicts exactly where it will be in the future, and flies to that spot. It is a master of prediction. But what is truly hypnotic is its ability to filter the world. This is called selective attention. Amidst a swarm of thousands of insects, the dragonfly locks onto one, turning down the volume of all the other visual noise until the rest of the world fades into a blur. It creates a tunnel of silence around its focus. Apply this ancient wisdom to your own mind tonight. You're surrounded by the swarm of your thoughts, the to-do lists, the memories, the worries, but you have the power of the dragonfly. You can select one thing, the sensation of your breath or the sound of my voice, and lock onto it. Let everything else blur. Let the background noise fade into grey static. There is only this moment. There is only this breath. The swarm is gone, and you are flying in clear, open air. Leaving the pond, we travel to the dense eucalyptus-scented forests of Australia. The sun is high and blistering hot, but high in the fork of a gum tree, a koala is fast asleep. We think of them as lazy, sleeping up to 20 hours a day, but their sleep is a thermal strategy. Watch closely how they position themselves. On hot days, the koala does not just sit, it presses its chest and stomach flat against the main trunk of the tree. Scientists using thermal cameras have discovered that the tree trunks are significantly cooler than the air, sometimes by as much as 9 degrees. The tree is a natural air conditioner. The koala is hugging the tree to draw the heat out of its body, transferring its feverish warmth into the deep, cool sap of the wood. It is a literal embrace of nature to find relief. Imagine yourself hugging that tree now. Visualize a massive ancient trunk, its bark smooth and cool against your skin. Feel the heat of your day, the heat of your busy mind draining out of you and into the wood. The tree is strong enough to take it. It absorbs your stress, your heat, your tension, rooting it down into the earth to be neutralized. You're left cool, light, and refreshed, held in the arms of the earth. From the quiet forest we fly to the noisy, verdant jungles of South America, where the canopy is alive with the squawks and calls of parrots. Specifically, we look for the green-rumped parrotlet. In this chaotic wall of sound, identity is everything, and here we find a touching parallel to our own humanity. These birds name their babies. When a chick hatches, the parents do not just chirp randomly, they whisper a specific, unique sequence of peeps, a signature call, to the chick over and over again. They're giving it a name. The chick learns this name and uses it to introduce itself to the flock for the rest of its life. I am here. This is who I am. It is a declaration of self in the wild. Even in the dense flock, they are individuals, known and recognized by their loved ones. Let this thought comfort you. In the vastness of the universe, you're not just a number. You have a name. You have a frequency. You are known. As you drift towards sleep, imagine the universe whispering your name, not with words, but with a feeling of belonging. You're not lost in the jungle. You are called by name, and you are right where you belong. The jungle fades, replaced by the tall, dry grass of the African savannah at dusk. The shadows are lengthening, and the hyenas are gathering. We often villainize them, but they are masters of social mathematics. The spotted hyena possesses a brain that is a calculator of social bonds. When hyenas hear the call of a rival clan in the distance, they do not react with mindless aggression. They listen, they count. They estimate the number of voices in the darkness and compare it to the number of friends they have right next to them. If they are outnumbered, they retreat. If they have the advantage, they advance. They are constantly running a benefit assessment, relying on the strength of their friendships to survive. They know that their power comes from their company. Imagine that mental calculation now, but flip it. Count your blessings. Count the things that make you feel safe. The roof, the bed, the lock, the warmth. Do you have enough to defeat the fear? Yes. The math is in your favour. You have calculated the odds, and the odds say you're safe. You have enough friends, enough comforts surrounding you to ward off the darkness. You can relax, for the numbers are on your side. As the sun rises over the same savannah, a herd of zebras grazes in the golden light. Their stripes are iconic, but for decades scientists were puzzled by them. They don't blend in with the grass. But the zebra does not need to hide from the lion, it needs to hide within the herd. This is the motion dazzle effect. When the herd runs, the stripes overlap and crisscross, creating a chaotic optical illusion. The lion cannot isolate a single individual. It sees a swirling, vibrating mass of black and white. The zebra becomes part of a larger flow, losing its edges to the safety of the group. It is invisibility through connection. As you lie there, let your own edges soften. Stop trying to be a solid, separate individual with a list of problems. Let yourself blur. Let yourself dissolve into the great flow of sleep. Become part of the motion of the night, a pattern of breathing and resting that stretches across the world. You're not a target. You're a wave. You're a vibration. You're safe in the dazzle of the dream. We leave the heat of the plains for the cool, reflective surface of a quiet lake in Europe. A row of mallard ducks is floating on a sunken log, sleeping. But look at the line closely. The ducks in the middle of the row have their eyes closed, heads tucked back, fully asleep. But the ducks at the very ends of the row are doing something different. They're engaging in unihemispheric sleep, much like the dolphin. The eye facing the group is closed, dreaming. The eye facing the outside world is open, watching. They are the sentries. After a while, they will stand up, rotate, and move to the middle of the line, letting a refreshed duck take the watch. It is a shared burden of vigilance. They take turns protecting each other so that everyone gets a chance to rest deeply. Imagine you are one of the ducks in the middle of the line tonight. You have served your time on the edge. You have done your watching for the day. Now you have moved to the centre. You're flanked by protection on all sides. The world is being watched by others. The night shift has taken over. You're in the soft, warm centre of the line, and you are free to close both eyes and let go. From the lake, we catch a powerful updraft, rising higher and higher until we are soaring over the Southern Ocean, where the waves are like moving mountains. Here, the wandering albatross glides. It has the largest wingspan of any living bird, nearly 12 feet across. It spends years at sea without touching land. Its secret to endurance is a locking mechanism in its skeleton. When it spreads its wings, a special tendon locks the shoulder joint into place. It effectively clicks its wings into the open position. It requires no muscular energy to keep them spread. It turns its body into a kite, resting on the wind. It can sleep while flying, its body relaxed, its wings locked open, carried by the energy of the atmosphere. Imagine you have this locking mechanism. You can lock your mind into a state of trust. You do not need to flap your wings to stay afloat. You do not need to hold yourself up. Click your mind into the open position, open to rest, open to peace, and let the wind carry you. The air itself is solid enough to hold you. You're gliding on the breath of the world, effortless and free. Finally, we travel to the bottom of the world, to the frozen white wasteland of Antarctica. The winter night has lasted for months. The temperature is 60 degrees below zero. But in the centre of the ice, a colony of emperor penguins stands in a massive black and white circle. They are practicing the huddle. This is not a static pile. It is a fluid, mathematical wave. Every 30 to 60 seconds, a penguin on the wind-battered edge takes a small step, pushing the penguin in front of it. This wave of movement ripples through the thousands of birds, shuffling the cold ones on the outside slowly, spirally toward the warm centre. It is a slow-motion dance of fairness. Everyone takes a turn in the cold, everyone gets a turn in the heat. In the centre of the huddle, it can be tropical, as warm as 90 degrees Fahrenheit, while a blizzard rages outside. It is a miracle of cooperation. Imagine yourself stepping into that centre now. You're surrounded by thousands of warm, beating hearts. The wind is blocked by a wall of living warmth. You're insulated, protected, and heated by the collective love of the huddle. The cold cannot reach you here. You're at the core of the colony, wrapped in the thickest down, standing on the ice but feeling only the heat of life. From the huddled warmth of the penguin colony, where heat is a shared treasure in the centre of the ice, we dissolve into a warmer, more humid atmosphere. The white landscape melts into the lush, tangled greens of a Madagascan rainforest. Here, clinging to a slender branch with zygodactyl feet, toes gripping like pliers, is a chameleon. We know them as the masters of disguise, changing their skin to vanish into the leaves. But watch what happens when the chameleon sleeps. When this creature drifts into slumber, its conscious control over its pigment cells relaxes. It stops trying to hide. It stops trying to match the world around it. Instead, it bursts into a kaleidoscope of brilliant colours, vibrant turquoises, deep purples, and glowing yellows. These are not the colours of camouflage. They are the colours of its dreams. As it enters its own version of rapid eye movement sleep, its skin pulses with the electrical firing of its brain. It is wearing its subconscious on the outside. It is being its true, unhidden self. Imagine the relief of that. All day long you mask yourself, you blend in, you adapt to the expectations of the room. But in sleep, you are free to be vivid. You are free to let your true colours shine in the safety of the dark. No one is watching. You do not need to blend in with the sheets. You can let the vibrant, honest colours of your soul wash over you, pulsating with the beautiful rhythm of your own uninhibited mind. The vibrant colours of the chameleon fade into the soft golden hues of the Namib desert sand. We are back in the dunes, but this time we are looking for a creature that swims through the earth itself, the golden mole. This small, iridescent furball is completely blind. It has no need for eyes in the underworld. Instead, it has evolved a superpower of listening. Its ear bones are disproportionately massive, tuned to the frequency of the sand. It pushes its head into the dune and listens. It can hear the footsteps of a termite distinct from the wind on the grass from 50 feet away. It navigates a world of pure vibration. It hears the song of the earth. Imagine pressing your ear to the pillow and hearing the hum of the universe. The golden mole does not worry about what it cannot see. It trusts what it can feel. It trusts the vibrations. As you lie there, close your eyes and become like the mole. Shift your attention from your eyes to your ears. Listen to the silence. Listen to the hum of the refrigerator, the wind outside, the rhythm of your own blood in your ears. These are the vibrations of life. You can navigate the dark just by feeling the resonance of the room. You're safe in the sound. From the dry singing sands, we slip effortlessly into the warm, salty waters of a mangrove forest. The roots of the trees stand like stilts in the water, creating a quiet, shaded cathedral. Lying on the muddy bottom, looking up at the filtered sunlight, is the Cassiopeia, the upside-down jellyfish. Most jellyfish drift aimlessly, but the Cassiopeia plants itself on the sea floor, pulsing gently. It has no brain. It has no central nervous system to worry, to plan, or to regret. Yet scientists have discovered that it sleeps. At night, its pulsing slows down by about 30%. It enters a quiescent state, a metabolic rest. This proves that sleep is not just for the thinkers, it is for the living. It is a fundamental law of biology, as ancient as the first cells. Even without a brain to dream, the body knows it must rest. The cells themselves need the pause. Allow this to absolve you of the need to think yourself to sleep. You do not need to use your brain to rest. You need to let your brain get out of the way. Your body knows what to do. It is an ancient biological intelligence that lives in your muscles, your bones, your blood. Like the jellyfish, just let the pulse slow down. Let the rhythm take over. You don't need to drive the ship. You just need to let it float. The shallow, warm water deepens, turning colder and darker, until we are in the crushing depths of the Arctic Ocean. Here, moving with a slowness that defies comprehension, is the Greenland shark. This creature is the elder of the ocean. They do not reach sexual maturity until they are 150 years old. Some of them swimming today were born before the United States was a country, living to be over 400 years old. They move in a state of perpetual slow motion, their hearts beating only once every 10 seconds. They are not in a rush. They have conquered time by refusing to race it. To the Greenland shark, a decade is a moment, a century is a season. They drift through the black water, untroubled by the ticking of the clock. Imagine stepping into their timeline. In our world, we're obsessed with seconds and minutes, deadlines and alarms. But here, in the deep cold, time stretches out into a vast, endless plain. There is no hurry. There is nowhere you need to be. You have centuries to rest. Let your heart rate slow down, mimicking that 10-second rhythm. Thump. Pause. Thump. You're expanding the space between the beats, creating a vast cavern of time where you can simply exist, ancient and unhurried. We rise from the abyss, surfacing in the snowy mountains of Japan. Steam rises into the frosty air. Here, in the Jigokudani Monkey Park, the Japanese macaques, the snow monkeys, have found a sanctuary. While the snow piles up on the rocks, they immerse themselves in the natural hot springs, the volcanic water warming them to the bone. Watch their faces. Their eyes close, their heads tilt back, their pink faces flush with the heat. It is a look of pure hedonistic bliss. But it is also a social ritual. They groom each other in the water, the steam dissolving the social hierarchies and tensions of the troop. Mothers hold their babies close. Elders soak their tired joints. It is a communal bath of peace. Contrast the biting cold of the air on their fur with the enveloping heat of the water on their skin. It is the perfect balance of elements. Imagine you're stepping into that pool now. Feel the hot water rising up to your neck, unknotting the muscles of your shoulders. Feel the steam on your face. The cold world is still there, outside the rim of the pool, but it cannot touch you. You are insulated by warmth. You're soaking in the thermal energy of the earth, melting away the frost of the day. The steam clears, revealing a moonlit meadow in the countryside. A ghost flies silently overhead. It is the barn owl. This bird is a marvel of stealth. The leading edges of its primary feathers are serrated like a comb, breaking up the turbulence of the air into microcurrents that make no noise. It flies without a whisper. But its true power is in its face. That heart-shaped disc of feathers is not just for decoration, it is a satellite dish. It funnels the slightest sound, the rustle of a mouse, the snap of a twig, directly into its asymmetrical ears. The owl constructs a three-dimensional acoustic map of the meadow. It can see the landscape with its ears. It knows exactly where everything is in the pitch black just by listening. Imagine the comfort of that clarity. You do not need to strain your eyes in the dark. You can relax your vision completely. The world is still there, resonating, vibrating. You can trust your other senses. You can trust the silence. In the silence there is information, and in the information there is safety. Let the silence of the owl's wings wrap around you, a velvet cloak that muffles the noise of the world, leaving only the peaceful stillness of the night. We leave the air and descend to a muddy riverbank in Tasmania at dusk. A strange, magical creature slides into the water, the platypus. It looks like a patchwork of animals, but its mind is a sensory masterpiece. As it dives, it does something counterintuitive. It closes its eyes, it closes its ears, and it closes its nose. It shuts out the world completely. How does it navigate? It uses its bill. The skin of its beak is packed with thousands of electroreceptors. It can detect the faint electrical pulses emitted by the muscles of a shrimp swimming in the mud. It senses the spark of life in everything around it. It sees the world as a glowing map of electricity. Even with its eyes closed, it knows where the life is. It knows where the food is. It navigates by feeling the energy of the river. Imagine closing your own sensory gates. Close your eyes, your ears, your nose. Shut out the external world. But inside, feel the spark of your own life. Feel the electrical hum of your own nervous system, a warm, glowing current that runs from your head to your toes. You don't need to look outside for connection. The energy is right here, flowing through you, a river of light in the darkness behind your eyes. From the cool river, we transport instantly to the sun-baked red rocks of the Australian outback. Here, a bearded dragon lies basking. We used to believe that dreaming was the privilege of mammals and birds, that the reptile mind was too simple for such things. We were wrong. Scientists sleeping monitoring these lizards found that they cycle through sleep stages incredibly fast. While we take 90 minutes to complete a sleep cycle, the bearded dragon does it in 80 seconds. They flicker between deep, slow-wave sleep and chaotic, rapid-eye movement sleep hundreds of times a night. In those moments of REM, their eyes dart, their brains light up. They are dreaming. Perhaps they dream of the perfect sunbeam, or the chase of a cricket. It is a frenetic, rapid-fire processing of the world. It reminds us that even in stillness, the mind is working. It is sorting, filing, discarding. If your own mind feels busy tonight, racing from thought to thought, know that this is natural. You're just processing. You're flickering through the files of the day. Let the thoughts race if they must. Your body is the rock, still and warm and grounded, while the mind does its necessary rapid work of cleaning the house. The lizard fades, and we find ourselves in a grove of oyamel fir trees high in the mountains of Mexico. The air is cool and thin. Hanging from the branches in the millions like rustling orange leaves are the monarch butterflies. This is the end of a journey that defies belief. The butterflies hanging here have never been to Mexico before. They are the great-grandchildren of the butterflies that left the north. They have flown 3,000 miles to a specific tree that they have never seen, guided by a map written in their DNA. This is genetic memory. They know the way home because their ancestors knew it. They are resting on the wisdom of their lineage. They trust a knowledge they did not learn but were born with. Feel that deep ancestral trust in your own bones. You come from a long line of sleepers. Your ancestors, for thousands of years, have curled up in caves, in huts, in houses, and found sleep. They survived because they rested. The ability to sleep is not something you have to learn or force. It is written in your code. It is a migration you have made 1,000 times, and your biology knows the way. Trust the map in your blood. You're flying home to the same tree that has held your people for generations. Finally, we tunnel down, deep into the wet, rich soil of a marshland in North America. Here, in the absolute dark of the underground, lives the star-nosed mole. It has the most sensitive touch organ in the entire animal kingdom. Its nose is a starburst of 22 pink, fleshy tentacles, constantly moving, touching the earth with a speed so fast the human eye cannot follow it. It touches 12 different places in a single second. This nose is its eye. In the center of the star is a tiny area called the touch fovea, which acts exactly like the center of the human retina. It constructs a high-definition picture of its world, not with light, but with texture. It feels the world into existence. It knows the difference between a grain of sand and a grub in a millisecond. Imagine navigating your world with that kind of tactile intimacy. Imagine that your bedsheets are a landscape to be explored. Feel the texture of the fabric against your cheek, the weave, the softness, the temperature. Focus entirely on that sensation. Let your mind pour into the point of contact between your skin and the bed. You're rooting yourself in the physical reality of comfort. You're touching the piece of the earth, feeling it with every inch of your being, safe in the soft, dark burrow of your bed. From the hypersensitive darkness of the star-nosed mole's tunnel, where the soil is a tapestry of touch, we shift our awareness just slightly to the left, through the damp, cool earth. Here, navigating the loam with a quiet, hydraulic grace, is the earthworm. We often think of them as solitary, simple tubes of life, blindly eating their way through the dark. But science has revealed a social intimacy to their existence that is startlingly human. Earthworms form herds. When placed in a maze or a new environment, they do not scatter randomly. They congregate. They make decisions as a collective. They communicate through touch, sliding their smooth, cool bodies against one another to signal safety or direction. If one worm discovers a rich source of food or a safe passage, the others follow, guided by the chemical trail and the tactile reassurance of the group. They prefer to sleep touching each other. Imagine that sensation of grounded connection. You are deep within the safety of the earth, surrounded by the cool, heavy scent of rain and soil. You're part of a silent, slow-moving herd, navigating the dark not with eyes, but with the comfort of presence. You do not need to see the path. You only need to feel the reassuring touch of the flock against your side. You're grounded in the most literal sense, held by the earth and by your kin, moving slowly, purposefully through the rich, dark quiet of the underground. Staying within the embrace of the soil, we travel deeper, wrapping our consciousness around the thick, woody root of an oak tree. Attached to this root Immobile and silent is the nymph of a periodical cicada. It is waiting. But it is not just waiting, it is counting. These creatures spend either 13 or 17 years underground, sipping the xylem from the roots, growing slowly in the dark. Why these specific numbers? Because 13 and 17 are prime numbers. By emerging only in prime-numbered years, they ensure that their life cycles rarely synchronize with the boom and bust cycles of predators. They are biological mathematicians, using the laws of numbers to survive. They are masters of the long game. Imagine the profound patience of the cicada. 17 years of darkness for a few weeks of sun. They do not rush. They do not fret about the passing of the seasons above. They trust the math of their own biology. As you lie in bed, invite that ancient patience into your bones. You do not need to bloom today. You do not need to solve everything tonight. You're in your root time. You're drinking in the nourishment of rest, growing slowly, safely, in the dark. Your time to emerge will come, mathematically perfect and inevitable. For now, there is only the feeding, the resting, and the peaceful, rhythmic counting of the years. We leave the roots and rise through the soil, emerging near the banks of a moonlit stream. The water bubbles over smooth stones, cold and clear. Crouched at the water's edge is a raccoon, its masked face intense with concentration. It dips its paws into the water, rubbing a river stone between its palms. We call this washing, assuming it is cleaning its food, but the truth is tactile enhancement. The raccoon's paws are packed with mechanoreceptors, similar to our own hands but far more sensitive. Water softens the thick layer of skin on their palms, making those nerve endings significantly more receptive. By wetting its paws, the raccoon is putting on a pair of high-definition sensory glasses. It is seeing the stone, the snail, the texture of the world with a heightened clarity that dry hands cannot achieve. It is turning up the volume of touch. Imagine dipping your own hands into that cool flowing stream. Feel the water rushing over your wrists, cool and cleansing. Feel the sensitivity of your fingertips awakening. As you touch your sheets, feel the weave of the cotton, the softness of the blanket, with that same high-definition clarity. Focus all your mental energy on the sensation of touch, the coolness of the pillow, the weight of the duvet. You're washing away the visual noise of the day and tuning into the simple, grounding truth of what you can feel. From the stream, we move into the dense undergrowth of the Australian temperate rainforest. The air is thick with ferns and mist. A lyrebird stands on a mound of earth, its magnificent tail feathers fanned out. It opens its beak, but the sound that comes out is not a bird call. It is the perfect mechanical whir of a camera shutter. Then the sharp rhythmic chop of a woodcutter's axe. Then the complex song of a kookaburra. The lyrebird is the archivist of the forest. Its syrinx, the vocal organ, is the most complex of any songbird, allowing it to mimic any sound it hears with terrifying accuracy. It captures the soundscape of its life and replays it. It holds the history of the forest in its throat. It tells the story of what has passed. Imagine your mind as this forest archive. But tonight, you have the power to choose which tapes to play. You can choose to mimic the sound of the rain. You can choose to replay the sound of the wind in the trees. You're the master of the soundscape. You can overwrite the noise of the city, the noise of stress, with the recorded memory of a peaceful moment. Let the lyrebird of your mind sing a song of pure silence, a song of soft rain, drowning out everything else with its perfect, beautiful mimicry of peace. The song of the lyrebird fades into the distance, and we find ourselves on a snowy ridge, the air biting and clean. A pack of wolves is gathered, heads thrown back, singing to the moon. We hear the howl as a haunting, lonely sound, but to the wolf, it is a chord in a family song, and there is a secret in the harmony. When wolves howl together, they instinctively avoid landing on the same note as another wolf. If one wolf is singing a G, the next will slide up to an A or down to an E. They harmonize. This creates an auditory illusion known as the beau geste effect. By staggering their pitch, a small pack of 5 wolves sounds like a massive pack of 20. They use harmony to project strength. They use discord avoidance to create a wall of sound. Imagine this internal harmony. You're made of many parts, your worries, your hopes, your memories. Instead of letting them fight for the same space, imagine them harmonizing. Let the high notes of hope blend with the low notes of tiredness. Let them create a chord. You're not a chaotic noise, you're a choir. You're a vast, complex song. Let the music of your being swell, filling the night with a strong, unified presence that keeps the darkness at bay. The snowy ridge melts into the warm turquoise expanse of the Caribbean Sea. We dive beneath the surface, past the swaying fans of the coral, to a small crevice in the reef. It is night, and the parrotfish is preparing for bed. But it does not just hide, it builds a sanctuary. From a gland in its mouth, it begins to secrete a clear, gelatinous mucus. Slowly, over the course of an hour, it spins a transparent bubble around its entire body. This is its sleeping bag. It seals the fish inside, masking its scent from predators like moray eels who hunt by smell. It also acts as an early warning system. If anything touches the bubble, the fish wakes up and darts away. It is a chemical force field. Imagine spinning this cocoon around yourself tonight. Visualize a protective, transparent sphere surrounding your bed. It is breathable, soft, and impenetrable. The worries of the world cannot smell you here. The demands of tomorrow cannot find you. You're sealed in a bubble of safety, floating weightlessly in the reef of the night. You're invisible to stress. You're wrapped in your own creation of calm, suspended in absolute security. Drifting deeper into the reef, down to the sandy bottom where the rocks form jagged caves, we encounter a creature of immense power in a tiny package, the pistol shrimp. It is no larger than your finger, yet it possesses one of the most remarkable weapons in nature. One of its claws is oversized, a biological hammer. When it snaps this claw shut, it happens so fast, at speeds of 60 miles per hour, that it creates a cavitation bubble. The water moves so quickly that it rips apart, creating a vacuum. When this bubble collapses, for a fraction of a nanosecond, the temperature inside the bubble reaches the temperature of the surface of the sun. It creates a flash of light and a sound louder than a gunshot. It creates a star in the ocean. This is the power of the small. We often feel small in the face of our problems, but nature tells us that size is irrelevant. Within you, in the snap of a synapse, in the beat of a heart, there is the energy of a star. You contain immense power, but tonight, you do not need to use it as a weapon. You can use it to create warmth. Imagine that little spark of heat in your solar plexus, a tiny sun that warms you from the inside out. You're a vessel of light in the deep ocean. We float up from the rocks toward the brackish water of the mangrove forest, where the roots tangle like a wooden cage. Drifting here is the box jellyfish. It is a translucent cube of jelly trailing delicate, venomous tentacles. But look at the corners of the cube. Hanging from each corner is a cluster of eyes. 6 eyes in each cluster, 24 eyes in total. Some are simple light detectors, but others have lenses, corneas, and retinas just like yours. They can see images. They can look up through the water and see the canopy of the mangrove trees to navigate. And here is the marvel. They do all of this without a brain. The box jellyfish has no central processing unit. Its vision is distributed directly into its nervous system. It is its vision. It does not think about what it sees. It simply reacts with a perfect, fluid grace. It is a creature of pure awareness. Try to emulate this state. Stop processing. Stop analyzing what you see or feel. Just be the eyes. Just be the awareness. Let the visual world flow through you without judgment, without thought. You're a drifting point of view, floating safely through the roots, seeing everything, holding on to nothing. The water turns black as ink as we descend into the abyssal zone thousands of feet deep. The pressure here is immense. Drifting in the dark is the vampire squid. Despite the name, it is a gentle scavenger. It floats in the crushing dark, its body a deep, velvety red. But when it feels threatened, or when it simply wants to disappear, it performs a transformation. It pulls its 8 arms, which are connected by a webbing of skin, up over its head and body. It turns itself inside out. The underside of its arms are lined with soft, fleshy spines, and when it wraps itself up, it looks like a dark, spiky pineapple. It makes itself smaller. It hides its face. It becomes a fortress of one. In this posture, it drifts endlessly, conserving energy, invisible in the black water. Imagine this gesture of turning inward. Pull your energy back from the world. Pull your thoughts back from the office, from the news, from the future. Wrap the cloak of your mind around your own centre. Turn inside out so that the soft, sensitive parts are hidden and safe on the inside, and only the armour faces the world. You are a closed circle. You are contained. You are safe in the deep velvet silence of your own inner ocean. Finally, we encounter a living fossil, the Nautilus, bobbing in the deep current. It has lived in these oceans for 500 million years, unchanged. Its shell is a perfect logarithmic spiral, a golden ratio in calcium carbonate. It is a masterpiece of geometry. During the day, the Nautilus hides in the deep dark, nearly 2,000 feet down, to avoid predators. But as the sun sets, it begins a slow, vertical migration. It rises up, 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 climbing the water column to feed in the shallows under the cover of night. It journeys nearly half a mile straight up, every single night, jetting water to propel itself. It is a commuter of the vertical world. Imagine that slow ascent. You're rising out of the heavy, pressurized depths of your day. You're leaving the deep, heavy thoughts behind. You're floating up toward the surface, toward the lighter, easier waters of sleep. Feel the pressure lifting off your chest. Feel the weight dropping away. You're spiraling upward, buoyant and light, guided by an ancient geometric wisdom that knows exactly how to rise. You're surfacing into a realm of peace, carried by the gentle jet stream of your own breath. From the spiral geometry of the Nautilus, rising through the dark water like a moon in the night sky, we follow the gentle slope of the continental shelf until we reach the sandy, sun-dappled shallows of a tropical beach. Here, the floor is a treasure trove of scattered shells. Scuttling amongst them is the hermit crab. We often view them as scavengers, desperate for a home, but they engage in one of the most civilized and orderly rituals in the natural world, the vacancy chain. When a large new shell washes up on the shore, perhaps a beautiful conch, it might be too big for the crab that finds it. Instead of ignoring it, the crab waits. Other crabs gather. Remarkably, they arrange themselves in a line, ordered by size from the largest to the smallest. It is a cue of patient expectation. When the largest crab moves into the new shell, it leaves its old one vacant. The next crab in line swiftly moves into that one, leaving its shell for the next, and so on down the line. In a matter of seconds, dozens of crabs have upgraded their homes without conflict. It is a cascade of cooperation, a shared upgrade of life. Imagine standing in that line. There is no pushing. There is no anxiety that you will be left out. You know that when the time is right, the space will open up for you. You fit perfectly into the space prepared for you. As you lie in your bed, feel that sense of perfect fit. You're not squeezing yourself into a life that is too small, nor are you lost in one that is too big. You're in the shell that was meant for you, protected, sheltered, and exactly the right size for your soul to rest. We leave the sandy, orderly line and wade deeper, to the rocky tidal pools where the water surges and recedes with the breath of the ocean. Clinging tightly to a rock shaped like a star is the sea star. We used to think they were blind, fumbling across the reef, but look closely at the very tip of each arm. At the end of each limb there is a tiny red or black dot. This is an ocellus, a primitive eye. The sea star does not see with a head, it sees with its hands. It explores the world by reaching out and looking with its fingertips. It constructs a panoramic view of its surroundings from 5 different angles simultaneously. It is decentralized awareness. It does not have a single brain telling it what to do. A nerve ring connects all the arms in a democracy of movement. Imagine perceiving the world this way, not through the narrow tunnel of a single viewpoint, but through a tactile, encompassing embrace. You are touching the world and seeing it at the same time. Reach out with your mind's eye to the corners of your room. Feel the walls, the windows, the floor. You're not just a point in the center. Your awareness is spread out, holding the entire space in a gentle, starry grip. You are the space. You are the star. The tide pulls us out from the rocks, carrying us into the open, drifting blue. Floating past us, translucent and ghostly, is the moon jellyfish. It pulses with a rhythm that is soothing to watch, a slow contraction and expansion, like a beating heart made of water. But this creature possesses a secret power of healing that goes beyond simple regeneration. If a moon jellyfish loses a limb to a predator, it does not immediately grow it back. That takes too much energy. Instead, it engages in symmetrization. It physically rearranges its remaining limbs, rotating them around its body until they are perfectly spaced again. It prioritizes balance over wholeness. It knows that to swim effectively, to survive, it must be symmetrical. It finds a new center. It creates a new geometry of self. Apply this wisdom to your own night. Perhaps you feel like you have lost something today. Energy, patience, time. Do not worry about growing it back right now. Instead, rearrange what you have left. Shift your focus. Find your new center of gravity. You can be whole even if you are different than you were this morning. You can find a new balance in the dark, rotating your thoughts until you're spinning smoothly, perfectly aligned with the rhythm of the sleep that calls you. The water grows colder, turning from tropical blue to a steel grey as we travel north, crossing the Arctic Circle. The sea is dotted with pack ice. Breaking the surface with a long, spiralling tusk is the narwhal, the unicorn of the sea. For centuries, this tusk was a mystery. Was it a weapon? A tool for breaking ice? We now know it is a sensory organ of breathtaking sensitivity. The tusk is actually a tooth that has grown inside out. It is filled with 10 million nerve endings, and it is porous, allowing seawater to enter it. The narwhal is not just swimming through the water, it can taste the salinity. It can feel the barometric pressure of the air above the surface while still submerged. It can detect temperature changes to a fraction of a degree. It is swimming with a lightning rod of sensation. Imagine having that level of connection to your element. The air around you is not just empty space, it is information. Feel the temperature of the air on your cheek. Is it cool? Is it still? Let that sensation travel through you. You're connected to the atmosphere of the room. You're reading the night with your skin, and the reading says, calm. The reading says, safety. You're attuned to the silence, and it welcomes you. We leave the icy waters and fly south, landing in the humid, steaming canopy of a Southeast Asian rainforest. The air is still, but the leaves are moving. Or are they? We are looking at a walking stick insect, or a leaf insect. It is perfectly camouflaged, green, and veined like the foliage around it. But its disguise goes deeper than appearance. When the wind blows and the leaves rustle, the insect rocks back and forth. It mimics the chaotic, swaying motion of the wind-blown branches. It adopts the rhythm of the storm to stay hidden. It does not fight the wind. It becomes the wind. This is a state of cryptic motion. It surrenders its own stillness to match the movement of the world. Imagine that you are a leaf on a tree. When the winds of worry blow, do not stiffen. Do not try to stand rigid against them. Sway. Let the motion move through you. Rock back and forth with the gentle rhythm of the breeze. By moving with the wind, you become invisible to the stress. You're just part of the forest, swaying, dancing, safe in the camouflage of acceptance. High above the swaying insect, swinging through the canopy with acrobatic grace, are the gibbons. These small apes are the aerialists of the jungle, but they are also the singers. As the sun rises, or in our case as the moon rises, mated pairs of gibbons sing complex, haunting duets. They do not sing over each other, they sing with each other. The male sings a phrase and the female answers, weaving her voice into the gaps of his song. They adjust their tempo, their pitch, and their volume to match one another perfectly. It is a sonic reinforcement of their bond. I am here, you are here, we are us. The song travels for miles through the dense jungle, a declaration of partnership. Imagine hearing that song now, a rising and falling melody like a flute echoing through the mist. It is the sound of companionship. Even if you are sleeping alone, you are part of the great duet of humanity. Somewhere, someone else is sleeping. Somewhere, someone else is dreaming. Your breath is the call, and the night is the answer. You're singing the silent song of sleep, and the universe is harmonizing with you. We drop from the high canopy to the forest floor, and then down into a deep, earthy burrow in the Australian bush. Here, safe in the cool soil, is the wombat. This sturdy, bear-like marsupial has a defense mechanism that is purely defensive and incredibly effective. Its rump is made of a thick, hardened plate of cartilage, covered in tough skin. When a predator like a dingo threatens the burrow, the wombat does not fight. It dives into its hole and simply blocks the entrance with its backside. It becomes a living cork. The predator bites and scratches, but the wombat's shield is impenetrable. It protects its soft, vulnerable belly by turning its back on the danger and presenting a wall of indifference. It literally shuts the door. Visualize yourself doing this to your worries. You have retreated into the burrow of your bed. The entrance is behind you. If a worry tries to follow you in, you present your shield. You block the door. You're impenetrable. Nothing can get past the barrier you have set. You're safe deep inside, curled up and warm, while the troubles of the world scratch uselessly at the hardened shield of your boundary. From the dry earth, we travel to the floodplains of the Amazon during the rainy season. The water is rising, swallowing the land. Most creatures flee, but the fire ants do something miraculous. They flow out of their tunnels and onto the surface of the water, but they do not drown. They link legs. Thousands of ants weave their bodies together, gripping one another with a strength that creates a waterproof fabric. They form a living raft. They trap bubbles of air beneath their bodies to keep the raft buoyant. The queen sits safely in the middle, protected by the bodies of her colony. This raft can float for weeks, undulating with the waves, a single, unsinkable organism made of cooperation. If one ant is pushed underwater, it holds its breath and rotates back up. They take turns supporting the whole. Imagine that feeling of buoyancy. You're floating on a raft made of trust. The waters of life may rise, but you will not sink. You're held up by the unseen forces of your life, your resilience, your past victories, the love you have given. They weave together to form a raft that carries you safely over the flood. You can relax your weight completely. The raft will hold. The floodwaters recede, leaving behind muddy banks where a formidable creature basks in the sun, the Komodo dragon. We know them as apex predators, ancient and reptilian. But observers in zoos and in the wild have recorded something that softens their scaly image. They play. Komodo dragons have been seen interacting with objects, shovels, shoes, buckets, purely for the sake of curiosity. They will nudge a bucket around, put their head inside it, push it with their nose, exhibiting a behaviour that looks suspiciously like a dog playing with a toy. This is object play. It suggests that even in a brain built for survival and dominance, there is a spark of whimsy. There is a desire to investigate the world just for the fun of it. The dragon is not always a monster. Sometimes it is just a curious child in armour. Let this soften the dragons in your own mind, the fears that look big and scary. Perhaps they are just curious. Perhaps they are just playing. You can look at the monsters in the shadows and see the playfulness in them. You can toss them a ball and watch them chase it, transforming fear into curiosity, transforming the predator into a playmate. Finally, we travel to the baked clay of an African riverbed during a drought. The water is gone. The ground is cracked and dry like a mosaic of broken pottery. It seems lifeless. But deep beneath the crust, curled into a tight ball, is the lungfish. Months ago, as the water receded, the lungfish burrowed down into the mud. It secreted a special mucus that hardened into a waterproof cocoon, sealing in moisture. It built a breathing tube to the surface, and then it went to sleep. This is estivation. It is a sleep so deep that the fish's metabolic rate drops to 1/60th of its normal pace. It can sleep like this for 4 years. It is waiting for the rain. It trusts that the water will return. It does not panic as the earth dries out. It simply prepares, wraps itself in a blanket of its own making, and waits. Imagine that level of trust in the cycles of life. Sometimes you go through a dry season. Sometimes you feel empty. But like the lungfish, you have a sanctuary deep within. You can wrap yourself in the cocoon of sleep and wait. The rain will come. The river will flow again. But for now, you are safe in the earth, preserved, suspended in a timeless rest, waiting for the gentle touch of the water to wake you. From the hardened, dry clay of the lungfish's cocoon, waiting patiently for the rain, we feel the earth soften. The moisture returns, turning the soil into a damp, verdant floor of an ancient, primeval forest. Moving silently across the moss is a creature that seems made of the forest itself, the velvet worm. It is not a worm, nor is it an insect. It is a living fossil, unchanged for 500 million years. Its name comes from the texture of its skin, a soft, hydrophobic layer covered in thousands of tiny papillae that feel exactly like crushed velvet. Run your mind's fingers over that texture. It is dry, soft, and infinitely gentle. But the marvel of the velvet worm is how it moves. It has no bones. It relies on a hydrostatic skeleton, meaning it is kept rigid by the pressure of the fluid inside it. It is literally walking on water contained within a velvet skin. It moves with a fluid, rolling grace that is completely silent, pressing its soft feet into the moss without leaving a trace. Imagine your own body losing its rigidity, the stiffness of your bones, the tension of your joints. Imagine them turning to warm, pressurized fluid. You're held up not by effort, but by the gentle internal pressure of life. You're soft, you're flexible, and you are moving through the night with the silent velvet grace of a creature that has seen the rise and fall of dinosaurs and remained perfectly, softly at peace. We leave the mossy floor and slide into the cool, darkening waters of the Atlantic Ocean floor. It is winter, and the waters are cooling. Here, we witness a migration that looks like a ritual dance. The spiny lobsters are on the move. They are travelling to deeper, warmer waters to escape the storm season, but they do not travel alone. They form a single file line, a conga line of crustaceans, sometimes stretching for 50 individuals. Each lobster reaches out with its long antennae and maintains constant physical contact with the shell of the lobster in front of it. They lock into a chain of touch. This reduces drag in the water, making the swim easier for everyone, but it is also a navigational safety net. If the leader changes course, the message travels instantly down the line through the touch of the antennae. They are navigating the dark, featureless sand by holding hands. Imagine that feeling of connection. You do not need to see the destination. You only need to stay connected to the guide in front of you. You're part of a long, unbreakable chain of life, moving together toward the warmth. You're guided, you're protected, and you are never, ever walking the dark path alone. The line of lobsters fades into the shadows, and we emerge into the dappled sunlight of a New Guinea rainforest. Here, on a cleared patch of forest floor, an artist is at work. The Vogelkop bowerbird is not just building a nest, he is curating a museum. He builds a bower, a cone-shaped hut of woven sticks, but the true wonder is the lawn in front of it. He scours the forest for objects of beauty, specifically obsessing over the colour blue. He arranges blue beetle wings, blueberries, and blue flowers in meticulous piles. But he goes further. He uses forced perspective, an optical illusion used by human architects. He places the larger objects further away and the smaller objects closer to the entrance. This makes the bower look larger and more imposing to a visitor standing in front of it. He is manipulating space with his mind. He is creating a scene. Imagine the satisfaction of that order. Imagine your mind is the bower. You can take the chaotic objects of your day, the thoughts, the worries, and arrange them. Sort them by colour. Place the big, scary things far away in the back where they look small. Place the small, beautiful things, a smile, a warm cup of tea, right in the front. You are the curator of your own perspective. You can arrange your mental landscape until it is a work of art, pleasing, orderly, and beautiful. We leave the Forest Museum and dive into the shallow, sunlit waters of the Great Barrier Reef. The colours here are vibrant, but to the creature we meet now, we are seeing a black and white movie compared to its reality. The mantis shrimp crouches in its burrow, its eyes moving independently on stalks. Human eyes have 3 colour receptors: red, green, and blue. The mantis shrimp has 16. It can see colours we do not even have names for. It can see ultraviolet light. It can see polarised light, the vibrating orientation of light waves. It looks at the ocean and sees a psychedelic explosion of information, secret patterns on the scales of fish, glowing signals in the water that are invisible to us. It lives in a world of hyperreality. It reminds us that there is more to the world than what we perceive. There are layers of beauty, layers of light that are always there, even if we cannot see them. As you close your eyes, imagine a colour you've never seen. A colour deeper than purple, warmer than gold. Let this imaginary colour wash over you. It is the colour of deep rest. It is a wavelength of peace that your eyes cannot see, but your soul can feel. You're bathing in the invisible, healing spectrum of the night. From the Technicolor Reef, we launch ourselves upwards, breaking the surface and climbing higher, past the clouds, into the thin, cold air of the stratosphere. We join the alpine swift. These birds are the masters of the air. When they leave their breeding grounds in Switzerland to fly to Africa, they do not land. Sensors attached to these birds have shown that they can stay airborne for 200 days straight. That is over 6 months without their feet ever touching a branch, a cliff, or the ground. They drink rain on the wing, they eat flying insects on the wing, and miraculously they sleep on the wing. They shut down parts of their brain, gliding on the high thermals, drifting in the jet stream while technically asleep. They trust the air completely. They have become creatures of the atmosphere. Imagine the freedom of never having to land. You do not need to come down to Earth to rest. You can rest in the middle of the journey. You can sleep while you float. Let go of the need to find a place to settle. The air itself is your bed. The movement of life supports you. You are weightless, timeless, drifting on the wind of dreams, high above the heavy gravity of the world below. We glide down from the high altitudes, splashing softly back into the warm tropical ocean. We find ourselves in the crevices of a coral reef, witnessing a remarkable partnership. A giant grouper, a large, slow fish, is hungry. It sees a fish dart into a tiny hole where it cannot fit. It needs help. It swims to a dark cave and signals a moray eel. The grouper performs a headshake gesture, vibrating its body and nodding toward the hunt. The eel, a snake-like predator that can wiggle into tight spaces, understands the signal. They swim off together. If the prey hides in the open, the grouper catches it. If it hides in a hole, the eel goes in and flushes it out. They share the success. This is interspecies communication. It is a language of gestures between two completely different minds. Imagine the comfort of having a partner who is your opposite. Where you are big and slow, they are small and fast. Where you're stuck, they are fluid. You do not have to be everything. You do not have to have all the skills. You can nod to the universe, ask for help, and trust that the right partner, be it a friend, a book, or a quiet moment, will slide out of the cave to help you catch what you need. From the saltwater, we travel inland to a cool, rushing freshwater stream in the Canadian wilderness. The sound of water flowing over rocks is loud. Working tirelessly in the twilight is a beaver. We know them as builders, but their motivation is sonic. Beavers are biologically programmed to be annoyed by the sound of running water. It is a leak. It signifies a breach in their safety. They build their dams with mud and sticks specifically to silence the flow, to turn the rushing noise into a still, quiet pond. They are the sound engineers of nature. They build to create silence. Watch the beaver place a final stone, pack it with mud, and suddenly, the rushing sound stops. The water becomes a mirror. The lodge becomes a quiet sanctuary. Imagine you are the beaver of your own mind. You hear the rushing noise of your thoughts, the leak of your energy. Pick up the stick of intention. Pack it with the mud of stillness. Place it right in the flow. Stop the rushing. Create a pond of absolute silence within you. Watch the water level rise, still and deep and calm. You have built a dam against the noise. You're safe in the quiet lodge of your own making. The surface of the beaver pond is still, and looking closely at a submerged leaf, we see a tiny glowing creature that looks like a cartoon sheep. This is the leaf slug, or Costaciella kuroshimai. It has a white face with 2 black dot eyes and a back covered in glowing green spikes. This little sea slug does something that should be impossible for an animal. It is solar powered. When it eats algae, it does not digest the chloroplasts, the solar panels of the plant. Instead, it moves them into its own skin. It keeps them alive. It lays in the sun and photosynthesizes. It feeds on light. It is a hybrid of animal and plant. Imagine the simplicity of that existence. You do not need to hunt. You do not need to strive. You only need to find a patch of light and lie down. You can absorb the energy you need simply by being present. As you lie in the dark, imagine you're absorbing the light of rest. You're soaking up the restorative energy of sleep through your skin. You're recharging your batteries just by existing in the right place. You're a creature of light, filling up with glowing green energy while you do absolutely nothing. We drift from the pond to the deep, open ocean, miles from any shore. The water is dark blue, bottomless. Here, a group of humpback whales is hunting, but they do not attack. They build a trap made of breath. The leader dives deep below a school of herring and begins to swim in a spiral, releasing a steady stream of bubbles from its blowhole. The bubbles rise, forming a shimmering cylindrical curtain, a bubble net. The fish are terrified of the bubbles and will not cross them. They are trapped in a cylinder of air. The net tightens. The whales swim upward through the centre, mouths open, gathering the feast. This is tool use. This is architecture made of air. Imagine the beauty of that spiral. A wall made of nothing but breath and intention. Imagine you can build a bubble net around your own sleep. Swim in a spiral around your bed, releasing bubbles of protection. The noise and stress of the world cannot cross the bubble line. They are kept outside the cylinder. You're in the centre, in the clear, calm water, protected by a wall of rising breath. Finally, we wash up on the muddy banks of the Amazon River, where the vegetation is thick and the air is hot. Lying in the mud, looking like a giant, peaceful boulder with fur, is a capybara. This is the largest rodent in the world, but it holds the title of the Ottoman of the animal kingdom. Capybaras radiate a field of absolute chill. They are so peaceful that other animals, birds, monkeys, even turtles, will come and sit on them. They do not mind. They sit still, eyes half closed, chewing slowly, while a flock of birds rests on their back. They are a living furniture of peace. They are a sanctuary for others simply by being calm. Imagine possessing that level of groundedness. You are so stable, so heavy, so relaxed, that the world can rest on you and you do not flinch. You're the rock in the river. You're the warm, furry mound of safety. Let the weight of your body sink into the mattress until you feel as heavy and solid as the capybara. You're the centre of calm. The birds of your thoughts can land on you, and you do not need to shoo them away. You just let them sit, let them be, while you remain vast, heavy, and deeply, deeply at peace. From the warm, breathing mound of the capybara on the riverbank, we lift our gaze upward, past the birds, past the insects, to the canopy that shelters them all. We arrive at the final mystery, a truth that binds the entire living world together in a single silent rhythm. We look to the trees. For millennia, we believed that plants were static, that they stood stone still while the animal kingdom rested. But laser scanning technology has revealed a secret that changes everything. The forest sleeps. As the sun sets and the photosynthesis stops, a profound physical change occurs within every tree, from the mighty oak to the slender birch. The water pressure within their cells drops. The turgidity that holds them upright against gravity softens, and slowly, imperceptibly to the naked eye, they let go. Their branches droop. Their leaves relax, curling slightly inward. Measurements show that a tree can lower its branches by several inches during the night. The entire forest is physically exhaling. It is a midnight drooping, a letting go of the tension required to reach for the sun. Imagine the magnitude of this. Billions of trees across every continent, simultaneously softening their posture as the shadow of the earth passes over them. They are not striving in the dark. They are not trying to grow or photosynthesize or compete. They are simply resting. They are surrendering to the gravity they fought all day. They are recharging their sap, redistributing their water, preparing for the morning light. Connect with this image of the sleeping forest. You are part of this nature. You too spend your day reaching, striving, holding yourself up against the gravity of expectation and duty. But now the sun has gone. You have the permission of the planet itself to droop. You have permission to soften your branches. Feel your own spine relaxing, mimicking the birch and the pine. Feel your shoulders drop just as the heavy boughs of the cedar drop in the moonlight. You're not collapsing, you're settling. You're entering the natural state of the night. The whole world, from the deepest root to the highest leaf, is breathing out. You're safe to join the great green exhalation of the earth. And now, the journey slows. The river of knowledge widens, emptying into the vast, boundless sea of sleep. We have travelled far, you and I. We have drifted through the turquoise currents with the half-asleep dolphin and floated in the bubble net of the whale. We have learned from the patience of the hibernating bear and the stillness of the frozen frog. We have seen the colours of the dreaming chameleon and felt the warmth of the penguin huddle. All these creatures, all these minds are with you now. They're all out there, in the dark, engaging in the same sacred act that you're about to perform. You're not alone in this quiet room. You're part of a massive global choir of breath. The sloth is hanging in the canopy, slow and safe. The otter is holding hands in the kelp, rocking gently. The swift is gliding on the high wind, high above the clouds, and the tree is softening its branches outside your window. The world is safe. The sentries are watching. The ducks are on the edge of the row, keeping guard so you can be in the centre. Let the images fade now. Let the colours of the reef dissolve into a soothing grey. Let the sounds of the jungle soften into a hum, and then into silence. You do not need to remember the facts. You only need to remember the feeling of being held, the feeling of being adapted for rest, the feeling of belonging to a planet that knows how to sleep. Your body knows the way. It is ancient. It is wise. It has the map written in its bones, just like the monarch butterfly. Trust the map. Let go of the oars. The current is strong and it is warm, and it is carrying you exactly where you need to go. Down, deeper, slower, into the velvet, into the soft, into the still. The library of the day is closed. The museum of the mind is dimming the lights. There is nothing left to learn tonight. There is only the peace of being. And now 101 wonders are resting with you. Sleep now. Good night.